Good evening, everybody, and welcome to StatCheck episode 136. This is Nyack Attack. I hope everybody is having a lovely evening and is ready to hear us talk about all sorts of random Warhammer bullshit. We are just back from the Battle for Salvation team tournament, which is why there was not an episode last week because half of us were at Anthony's house and the other half of us were sleeping. It seems to be the usual. So I hope everybody's doing well and didn't miss us too much for our occasionally scheduled weeks off. Um, we are going to be talking about Battle for Salvation. We've got some continue to be slightly scuffed stats information as we manually scrape everything again. Jeremy continued to be suffering in the data mines. You can see in his face that the children yearn for the mines, but Jeremy does not. Uh, we are, as we said, we are working on getting that fixed, but it is still a work in progress, and we look forward to when that is resolved. But as always, I'm Ennis. I'm joined by Jeremy and Anthony, and we're going to start off with the easy bits. Jeremy, how you doing, buddy?
Frustrated, but I am currently in the midst of trying to get caught up on everything, both in work and in stats. So I'm not going to promise everyone yet, but hopefully we should have everything back up and running by the middle or end of next week, which means regular stats updates and the like, as well as the dashboard and ELO up to date, taking into consideration the last 6 weeks ever since things broke. So that's been fun.
Fair enough, my dude. It is wonderful to watch you suffer and turmoil with Cliff in the backstage chat. How about yourself, Anthony? How you keeping?
I'm doing all right. Doing a lot of WarDK stuff. Obviously, a World Leaders book means Anthony jumps back in the the grind to establish what the structure is for what the next, assumedly, like whatever until we get a new World Leader thing will be, which is 11th, I guess. will look like. So yeah, it's a lot of work on the upfront that hopefully will mean less work in the future as I can continue to just play one faction. So if that works out, that'll be great. Between that, what else is going on? I'm out looking for job stuff again. So if any random listener has an IT opening, hit up your boy. Just looking for doing a bunch of applying at places, and that is basically all of my day now is just apply for jobs, grind World Leaders, back and forth. So yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's
you
just
picked a good time to be fun employed, I think, for WTC prep.
Yeah, I mean it worked out. Like the timing definitely could have been worse, could have been better. At least I got a heads up. So yeah, just kind of going through it, playing the occasional EC game to stay sharp in case World Leaders aren't as good as, aren't good enough to make the 8, I guess is the right way to put it. So far I think they will, but we'll see.
Fair enough.
I think I can make them make an 8. Whether or not they make everyone's 8 is different.
Well, they made 50% of the 8s at Eurotrash, so we'll remain to be seen.
Dude, that's
I think 2 Berserker Warbands and 1 Vessels of Wrath to continuing to taunt Anthony from beyond the grave.
Dude, that's like 100% more World Eaters than there was last time. I think I was the only one.
That's usually how this goes, right?
Technically, we're the defending champs of this specific event.
We are. I am not optimistic for Scotland's
for defending the title.
Germany and Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands and Austria on the way to get it. But we'll do our best.
You got this. It'll be all right.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm playing Blood Angels. I'm gonna have a great time. I watched Olivier Pear for himself. I'm like, I could do that. Now I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, something like that. I will say I've seen the 18 Blade Guard around now, and I've like played against it a time or two. And if it's not got the really specific look, maybe it's really good most of the time, but it does not seem to be good into World Eaters, which despite the lack of damage 3 and perhaps exactly the 8-bound data sheets, the rest of it now is
Helbert do just shit damage 3 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Brutes,
So did
Forge Fiends, Princes. There's a lot of damage 3 in the Eater's Codex these days.
Yeah, if you're only playing two or three squads of 8-bound, and that's your only damage 3, it's like, well, I got Karn and
Yep.
Karn delivery system, and everything else is damage 3 except the 8-bound. We
It's
gonna be all right.
it's damage. It's Karn and Karn accessories. It's like propane, you know.
Yeah, it's Karn and Karn's like 10 ablative wounds, 20 ablative wounds.
Those guys do damage sometimes now.
You're
if you
right.
give them
It's
a strat.
16 ablative wounds, 2 strength, two guys who are now strength 10. The only beneficiaries of the Berserker Warband change because their strength didn't go down.
Yeah.
The sneak buff that everyone refused to acknowledge. The only weapons you cared about went up a strength.
To be
they didn't
fair,
stay the same.
those wound worse than they do most of the time because they're not +1 to wound anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. They are very frequently more allowed to be lethal and sustained though, instead of having to pick movement buffs.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's it's gonna be interesting.
See how
And
it goes.
then so we've got Eurotrash coming up, and then obviously we were at Battle for Salvation. I think we're gonna do an entire segment on that, but that's mostly what I did for the last week or so.
Yeah.
I got home and was like, oh, I should probably like do my job for a little bit, so I did that. It turns out taking 2 weeks off in the same month as a self-employed person is a little bit shit. Definitely don't
Touch and
recommend.
go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I probably shouldn't do this every month.
Yeah.
But no, it's not too bad. But anyway, stat-check.com/coaching if you want to help me out.
Nice.
But yeah, so we'll be talking a bit about Battle for Salvation. We've obviously got Jeremy who's on mute right now, so we're going to continue to vamp about that. Let's talk about just generally what BFS was like prepping, organizing, because you did all of the organizational side of things before the event, Anthony. Do you want to tell us about what it's like putting together a team for us?
Yeah, so I mean, tragically, I didn't really do a ton, right? I did the part that I normally do, which is use my vast network of 40K connections and try to pull together an 8 that I think has a reasonable chance of winning an event. I would say that in a lot of ways, like StatCheck, like scams the system a bit when it comes to team events because we're not just like one team that, is coherent always. We have a lot of people that we pull in and a wide roster of functionally international superstars to pull from, right? So in this specific area, the strength of StatCheck is the network, right? When we decided that we weren't going to do Alpine this year, I started, putting out feelers, seeing who I could get into coming to BFS. Obviously that involved a combination of our Champs Cup team, what is normally our Alpine team, and then just kind of who I could pick up from there. So between noted Raccoon Trent down to Olivier and Josh and so on and so forth, we kind of like Voltroned into a team. And I think that I would say with like some degree of confidence that this is probably the strongest 8 we've fielded so far. It's close between that.
It's like close between this and Champs Cup, right?
Champs and this is pretty close. Yeah.
It's like, all right, dude. Do you want to you're gonna pick between like who wasn't like Typhus, Pumbaa, Francois, Jeremy, and John Lennon, or Josh Roberts, Olivier Weiss, Trent, Brian.
Yeah, it's touch, right? Like
Brian and Knopf.
It's definitely a tough one to call on.
Yeah, like you're really gonna be splitting fucking hairs, right?
Yeah.
Trent and I very much enjoyed being in the mines, so
yes, our beautiful raccoon men, eating the trash, diving and digging.
You guys did fantastic. You guys got as close to 50 points between the two of you each as you could, and that's really all what you guys are there for. Right?
That's what we asked them to do.
By God, they did it.
Yeah, the strong, powerful backbone of the team without which nothing else works. So, we generally needed a bit of extra help. While all of us are very good at the Warhammer, we're not necessarily always the greatest at the outside of Warhammer stuff, and that is where the real superstar of the team, Dan, comes in. The power, the poise of upstate Dan carrying us over the finish line, making sure we all ended up at the event and nobody died, and we all had our stuff that we needed so we could do the Warhammer part.
Playing with Dan was definitely, with Dan helping was definitely reminded me of how much we missed him at the Toronto Teams event like
I'm
4
sure.
weeks earlier. Because he was supposed to join us, but
down.
Life came up, and so I was even more appreciative of him there.
Right. Yeah, not having the boy is pain. So buy my money, the best coach in the game.
The best coach I've ever
Upstate
worked with.
and upstanding. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not close between him and Ramon, but
True.
I would watch Ramon and Dan have a coach off any day of the week. I think that'd be the most interesting content that you could produce out there.
Dan's ability to remain perfectly calm when all hell is breaking loose in a round, like the man is just unflappable.
Well, I didn't know that all hell broke loose at any point during any round, which means that Dan didn't transfer that to the people who were just vibing in their games. So
Yeah,
that's
it was
a
just
great
like
sign.
you're getting what you need. You can't really do much else than that. Just keep
Good
on.
enough.
Like every single time you come by, and I was playing one of the grinder matches, and I'd be like, "Not much I can really do aside from hold them to a 10. I might get like a couple points more." And I'd be like, "Yep, that's all I need.
Yep.
Everything else is looking good."
Yeah.
Anthony managed to turn around a bit of an oopsie into a decent score.
Yeah, I mean that was into the Gladius on their table choice. All you got to do is just be like, just be cool, bro. Doesn't have to get crazy. We both stay on our side of the board. Nothing happens. Just be cool. Just walk out that bitch with a 10.
Anthony shadow keepered his way to another win.
Technically, I got a 10, which in that context is a win.
You won by 2, right? You singles winned it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, just like I singles won against Nick.
So yeah. I mean, yeah, that was like the lead up to the event. Oh, and Finn obviously carried us pretty hard. Finn, who cooked
Finn
for us.
literally saved Nos's life multiple times.
Yeah, I mean that's because Nos does his best to die when he goes to an event.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean he put us up. He took care of us as well. A lot of like the stat check team, getting taken care of, right? Like the part of the doing really well at the hobby pursuit that no one talks about is the external parts that enable you to be successful, and those
everyone else saving our lives repeatedly the entire weekend by organizing food and coffee runs and having cans of juice
randomly
and
just driving like 7 or 8 hours after a shift just to make sure that everyone gets
all
to
Brian's fault though, right? Like that's we're all in agreement that Brian flying to JFK was entirely a non-required decision, right?
I mean,
yeah.
Jeremy, do you want to tell everyone how much you got scammed on your flights on the way in?
Oh my god. So I'm used to having some somewhat unfortunate luck when it comes to flying and traveling, particularly into the United States.
I'll never fly with Jeremy anywhere, ever. You can't.
Whenever I travel with people, that's not true. There's been one oopsies. Most of the time when I travel with
I'm not risking it, bro.
We're fine. It is true. And this particular, I'm sure JFK was fine, Ben. So I booked a direct flight from Ottawa to Newark, which is an hour and 15 minutes. It's like an hour in the air at most. It's beautiful. And it wasn't great because I said, yep, I'll leave work at like, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, go to the airport. I'll get there. My flight out's at like 6:30. I land in Newark at like 8 o'clock. It's a couple hours to Finn's place. Finn was amazing, by the way. Shout out to you, Finn, for hosting us. And then I'm sitting in a meeting at work Thursday morning. I go text them. My flight's been canceled. And I go, crap. All right. So go about, figure out what's going on. Newark apparently has a bunch of cancellations because they're down some ATC crew and their main runway's under construction. And so I rebook. And so I end up on a Porter flight, which I love flying Porter, so that's great. And then but I have to leave work 2 hours earlier, which not great when we're under crunch at work. And then we ended up in the position where we end up with my flight ends up being delayed another 2 hours. So I land at Newark at the exact same time that I was going to land there anyways, which worked out because that was the same time that we all planned for me getting picked up after Dan drove out to JFK to pick up Brian. Fast forward to Sunday. We're getting ready for the final round. And I get a text again that my flight has been canceled.
Oh, Christ.
I go, I'm over 2. Great. This is wonderful. Except in this particular case, I can't rebook. There are no other options to get me back to Ottawa that night, which means I now have to rebook to Montreal. And my wife, who is a saint, who is one of the most wonderful people in my life, and who supports my hobby despite it driving her mad sometimes, drove to Montreal 2 hours to pick me up from the airport. And then we drove home together and got home at around 1 a.m.
Heroic.
We both, she was like, the one rule here is you get me breakfast and coffee in the morning. I went, deal.
Fair enough.
You've earned it.
Understandable, yeah.
And of course, I get to work and I immediately get slammed by meetings. I was like, I'm just going to DoorDash you Starbucks. So yeah, that was Yeah, I was a little frazzled getting into the venue and like getting into the event, but thankfully, like being with the stat check group is always nice. It's always chill. Seeing Guinness, seeing Anthony, great to see the guys that I don't get to see very often. Finally getting to spend some time with Olivier because we never really had that opportunity to before. Meeting Trent because I had no idea who he was before this event. I was like, Anthony picked him. I'm sure he's good.
If you weren't careful, you entirely possibly could have avoided interacting with Trent all weekend if you'd wanted to. He was
Yeah,
just
but
in
we
his
were both in the
mind
mind, so
playing-
it was fun chatting about our games. And we were usually playing like the table next to each other, so like no interaction would have been weird.
Yeah, you both lived on table 8.
Okay. By the end of the weekend, as much as I was joking about don't fucking put me on table 8 again, that was my vibe. I would sit there and I would go, "You can't push into me. I
you
certainly
picked
can't push
it.
into you.
picked it in game 5.
Take the 10 and enjoy it." Yeah, I picked it. You guys first defended me. I went, "Wait, I get table pick? I'm just gonna take 8 and we're just gonna go play a very chill game."
My models are there.
Yeah. It was definitely very funny.
Well, should we talk a little bit about the stats, and then we can circle back around to Battle for Salvation?
Yeah, for sure.
We can do a
So
bit more of a rundown
after
of our
having
rounds.
wrangled things out, so I'm going to give a bit of a verbal update to where things are at right now. So about 6 weeks ago, some of the automated processes that we have set up and some of the partnerships that we work with through Goonhammer stopped working because of some changes that Best Coast Pairings made. This was not an intentional breaking on their end. It was more just them changing how things were working. So that is currently in the works of being basically fixed and set up back again. Kudos to the Goonhammer team. Kudos to Best Coast Pairings for continuing to support us and allow us to do this kind of thing. In the meantime, it means that because I have been slammed with work and traveling for events, things have slipped. So I've got a couple of free weekends coming up. I'm going to try to get caught up on all this. Ideally, we should have most of this caught up by the end of next week. So basically, just in time for the new season, we'll have fully up-to-date stats. And by fully up-to-date, I mean with all the usual detail that we go to. Because right now, I can get factions and like win rates, but I can't go down to the level that we used to be able to do with detachments and allies and all of that. So that's where that's at right now. Should get fixed up soon-ish. At a minimum, I'm down. I've got 2 out of 6 weeks caught up right now, and I'm just kind of go, well, we'll get this done eventually. Yeah, so let's talk about stats for the last 2 weeks. Why? All right, anyone want to guess who's in the bottom 5? I'll give
Bottom
you 2
5?
guesses in this and Anthony 2 guesses.
Somehow World Eaters.
No.
Space Marines.
No. All right, Anthony, 2 guesses.
Bottom 5 or top 5?
Bottom 5.
Space Marines?
He already said Space Marines, and I said no.
Oh, sorry. I was just not convinced.
Hey,
No,
Anthony,
really
Anthony, say World Eaters. Just do it. It'll be really funny.
Thousand Suns.
Yes, actually. Thousand Suns are the second worst army in the game right now. 15 players, 1.5% of the meta, and a 40% win rate. However, they did manage 1 top 4, so because of their horrible representation, they have a 1.63 over rep.
Yep. There's just no one playing them. It's just abandoned.
Pretty much, yeah.
Can you blame them?
Yes. That army's still good. I get not wanting to play it, but
I'm realizing
Fair
that
enough.
something's wrong here. God damn it. All right, I'm not going to talk about overrep because overrep's wrong.
okay.
Classic. I want to go see what's wrong with overrep.
Talk about the stats first. We'll figure out over it later.
Yeah, all right. I'll figure it out afterwards. It's wrong. It's bothering me. All right. We'll quickly skim through the other ones. So the others in the bottom 5, Tau are the worst army in the game right now. 20 players, 2% of the meta, and they managed a 37.9% win rate.
That is very low.
Yep. Blood Angels, I don't understand this, are the 3rd worst army in the game with a 4.2% of the meta and a 40.4% win rate. They did manage 1 top 4 that I have in here. And then rounding out the bottom, we have Drukhari with a 41.2% win rate and Dark Angels with a 42.7% win rate. None of them could
Yeah,
get any
those
top 4s.
both track. Poor Blood Angels, man. That army's not bad.
Dark
know.
Angels being that low is also crazy.
Samuel's just terrible, dude. Samuel needs buffs. Samuel should be damage 4.
Shut the fuck up.
Make him damage. Does he damage 3 or 2?
He's
Samuel's
2, but he
damage
joins
2.
Outriders.
Yeah, so
I was
he
gonna
should be
say-
4 base and go to 5 on the charge. I think.
No, I like
that
3
would solve
base.
all
I like
his
3 base. 3 base
problems.
would be nice.
Should we strike
No.
10? I think
I
strike
want to be able
10
to pick up a
resolves.
unit of Death Shroud and just go to my opponent and go.
Should be strength 10
Alright.
as well, and maybe have lance naturally. Sustained 3.
What are we doing?
We give him
Sustained
lethal.
D3 plus 1.
We'll give him lethal 2, right? Instead of sustained 2, it'll be lethal 2.
Lethal
He gets
2.
two wounds on a lethal
I
wound.
don't think that's how that ability works.
It should. We should bring in lethal hits and lethal wounds. If you get exploding like sustained wounds and stuff like that, you should get that back.
I'll each give you one guess on the top 5s. Innes.
Emperor's Children.
Yes. Anthony.
What came out recently? Is Death Guard and Eaters in this?
No,
Surely not.
that's this weekend upcoming. Death Guard
Got it.
Meters just came out.
I don't know. Fucking.
There were some
demons.
Death Guard stats this weekend, but
Yeah, but not like
not a ton. Yeah.
no. It's definitely showing
Demons.
because their numbers are starting to spike.
Gene Stealer Cult. Let's do it.
Teams look out with the best army in the game this past weekend. 12
I see.
players, 1.2% of the meta, a 58.9% win rate, and at least one event win and at least one top 4.
Demons.
Let's go cults.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just how it goes.
So Anthony said demons. Chat saying custodians and Eldar and knights.
Custodians and Eldar are both wrong. Eldari actually, holy crap. Eldari had a 48.6% win rate while making up 7.4% of the meta, but they won 3 events and had 9 top 4s for a 1.46 over rep.
What's the Yanari win rate?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't
was
have
gonna say.
detachments.
Oh, right.
I would love to know that, but I can guarantee you probably like 55, 56% right now. No, so Gene Stealer Cult were the best. Emperor's Children were the second best army in the game. 32 players over the last 2 weeks, 3.3% of the meta, and I fixed it. So now it's 1 event win, 4 top 4s for a 1.46 over rep, which is pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Third best army in the game is Leagues of Votan with 57.5% win rate, an event win, 2 top 4s, and 6 top 10s for a 1.01 over rep.
All right.
Let's
It
go.
wasn't on my bingo card, but fair enough.
Neither did I, but I mean, Votan good.
Citation
especially-
needed. Again, I just refuse to accept it. They're good in Germany.
Red Rum, there was a major
an
in
event
Germany. There was
Yep.
an event in Germany, yes. And I almost guarantee you that was. Let's just.
Man, I'm
double
playing
check.
an event. I'm playing an event in Germany in 2 weeks. I'm stressed. I'm gonna like lose to Votan.
We know what's gonna
3 times
happen.
or some shit. Just be like in the Votan fucking mines. It's gonna be
All right.
awful.
The Munsterland Major was actually won by Grey Knights,
Yep.
so
And
it was not
Armin
won
that won it.
by Votan. That was not their win. The win was actually Leagues of Votan was actually out of Australia. It was the collector's market, Drop Bear Gaming.
Nice. Oh, Tim was playing
Congratulations,
orcs.
James Cummings.
All right.
Tim played a Stompa apparently at Munsterland, so
Yeah, people don't realize that Tim also plays orcs.
that doesn't sound right.
Apparently, that was his first army. And then rounding out the top 5, we have Tyrannid, 61 players, 6.2% of the meta, a 56.8% win rate, 1 event win, and 8 top 4s for a 1.53 over rep. I am so confused right now.
Sure, dude. Just don't sweat it.
And then Imperial Knights, 51 players, 5.2% of the meta, a 56% win rate, 1 event win, 7 top 4s for a 1.60 over rep. That is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I love AdMech, 52% win rate, but they couldn't get a top 4.
Oh.
Yeah, it sounds like AdMech.
Space Wolves aren't far off of that. They
What
also had a
did I do?
48.6% win rate and couldn't get a top 4.
Ugh.
I can't wait for Space Wolves to get a book that's somehow worse than their current one. I want
That's
that
definitely a
so
possibility.
I want that so bad. I want it to just be like, actually, Thunderwolf Cav are 3 wounds each now, not 4. And go into the fucking mines of World Eaters.
And
Thunderwolf.
it would be hilarious if Thunderwolf Cav stuck around, but we're just bad.
I mean, Thunderwolf Cav have 3 wounds right now. You just always take a Storm Shield.
No. No, they have 4 wounds.
No, they have
Storm Shield
four-
doesn't
Oh, they
give
have
them
4
the
wounds.
Wounds
gives
give
them
them 4
invuln.
invuln.
Damn it.
Yeah, they gives them the invuln.
Yeah,
They don't.
that's
They don't
pretty
maybe,
smart.
wait a minute, that's not how that one works.
Damn it. Sorry. Yet another edition of Storm Shields doing a different
Okay,
thing.
Luis, that's hilarious. Apparently, Tim had a bet with Multi that he can bring a Stompa to Eurotrash if he goes 5-0 in Munster with.
Well, he's playing Votan at Eurotrash, so I'm guessing he didn't go 5-0.
No, he
Aw.
definitely did not.
I'm really happy. The Germany event that I'm going to is 12 weeks in the day before my 12 weeks in the day after my last event, so it's 6 days before my yellow resets. Like, timed it to perfection. Dodged the entire Mordaka metagame. Didn't touch it a single time in singles.
Well done.
It's like, I'm good at this.
I'll decay you just for you.
You better not. I want my yellow. That's why I only lose games in team events and charity games.
Oh, that charity game. Do we want to talk a little bit about that?
I mean, we'll talk about how much money we raise for charity and how I have a set of pink shoes signed by John Lennon in my cupboard. So yeah, we yeah, of course I kept them. They're signed by John Lennon. I can say officially under a lie detector that I have shoes signed by John Lennon, and for me that is at least reasonably valuable.
Love it.
It was worth cramming them in my luggage for. So yeah, we did a stream game on War Games Live with myself and John Lennon on the Friday night after we did game 1 and 2 at BFS. So we managed to really stress ourselves out by having to stay super late. I did all the forfeits because John doesn't drink, so I got to drink way too much. John does not pour small measures because he doesn't know what a measure is because he doesn't drink.
John had never poured a drink before this game. He even said, Innis is about to receive the first pour I've ever done.
Yeah, it was really rad. It was really bad. It didn't also help that we played on layout 3 with the wrong terrain. It wasn't a great starting point. Yes, I'm just sat there like
deploying, realizing there is nowhere to hide.
I didn't deploy. I sat there, looked at the table, and went, "There is nowhere to deploy. I'm going to try to coin flip," and then that didn't work. Shocking. It was kind of brutal. And then not only that, did every little thing that I tried to try to make it competitive also didn't work, which was just very funny. That goddamn Stormraven living on 1 wound for like 3 turns. But if anybody does know, if you 6-inch deep strike, you can grenade a Stormraven's wing. That's very important to know. The 8 inches does reach up the way. We did have to double check. If they've mounted it like at all off the base on like a bit of cork, it will not reach though. So
yeah,
definitely
for advantage now.
Yeah, double check your opponent's Stormravens, guys. You can't let them jack up their Stormravens.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you guys raised about $3,500.
It was like 31 when I was last hearing on the stream, $3,100, and then I think there was probably some more that came in afterwards, and potentially more from like the anything else that came in during the show. But yeah, so we raised that for Canines for Warriors. I want to say, I don't remember off the top of my head.
It was Canines for Warriors. It's a charity that partners basically dogs from kill shelters with veterans that need support animals. So
yeah,
just
it was really
all
awesome.
Around good charity to support, and one that's very close to Joe.
And I successfully gaslit our awards are not wrong on my list. I didn't give them any information for the next round, so that was very, very important.
That was demonstrated in your absolute domination against Sasha.
I played Bile on layout 8 and Purge the Foe and beat him by 4 points, bro. I'm going to consider that like the best I was going to get.
What was the score, like 96, 92 or something dumb?
96, 92. At one point, you could come over to my table and there was an uninterrupted row of slightly smaller gap than 40 mil base from the top of the table to the bottom of the table of neophytes, gene stealers, and acolytes. I'm just like, you ain't coming through, bro. You ain't touching shit. Stay there. Stand in front of me. And it's all 3 inches away from the wall, so he can't hit me and go back through. And the only he was getting through was warp talents every turn. It's just like, oh my god, it was miserable. It was great. It was really
that described my game into Nick perfectly. Yeah. So, do we want to talk a little bit about the rounds?
Yeah, shall we start with our comp and sort of the general thoughts going into it, why we took what we did. So obviously I was on Host of Ascension Gene Stealer Cult. I was playing my 150 model 290 UC Spectacular. The last ride before the balance data set, I think I'm going to give it a break for the next month or so because quite frankly I'm not a spring chicken and I need to be careful to not put myself out before my time. Especially if I end up wanting to take it to WTC, I could do with a bit of a break from it for a bit. So yeah, but I played that. It was really, really awesome. The kind of general goal with it is that if you pair for it, it can go and get big wins on its tables, and if you don't pair for it, it'll play 10 plus into basically anything, which is a really, really great place to have a really powerful army like that. And it came through for us in pairings. I think it was a very useful tool every round. Jeremy, how about yourself?
I played Tim Schneider's Voten list because it's stable and I know how to play it. And Anthony would not let me get out and experiment. Because as you said, I am the rock. Nothing else is allowed.
Yeah, I mean, this is a common trend. I try not to let people get experimental when we're going to team events. You have single.
I mean, I'm also perfectly happy to play the role of we're gonna put you into the matchups no one else wants. You're gonna go get a 10, and if they make a mistake, you'll blow it open.
Yep.
And that was what I did all weekend, and it was lovely.
I played World Eaters because it's a team event in 10th edition.
Shocker.
So I played World Eaters. Quentin and I talked about it during our game. He was like, "How many reps do you have with this list?" And I was like, "I honestly couldn't answer you. It depends if you consider the LGT version that I played forever ago the same list." And he was like, "Well,
how
what's
much has
changed?"
it actually changed?
And I like looked down and I was like, "Well, I used to have Karn and 5 Berserkers and a Rhino, and now I have 2 units of Spawn and a unit of Goremongers." And he was like, "That's it?" And I was like, "Yep, that's it."
It hasn't really changed that much.
From for anyone listening, September 2023
until April of 2025.
Nice and stable.
Anthony would have like. I want to just like from the bottom of my heart say that Anthony, you would have loved every edition before 8th because the game changed once every 5 years. You could have
Perfect.
just played the same thing for your entire. You could have just played the same thing for 5 years, and I can't imagine you get. You not getting bored of armies is my favorite thing. I get like itchy if I'm on the same thing for a tournament.
That's fun, dude. I don't know. You gotta, you know.
I
You
played an
gotta.
event
How do
with
you?
not Votan right before it just because I couldn't. I was like, nope, not doing this.
You can't honestly tell me, like, when you go to an event that you know enough about your army to be confident into every matchup. Like, when you haven't played it that much, like, it just can't be true. You might know more than the person across from you, which, you know, whatever, sure. But, like, I don't know, you're doing a lot of fucking guessing if you don't play the same army a lot.
I yielded an army.
agree.
I yielded an army for WTC on a single practice trap multiple times. Let's not like I'm built different, built wrong, but built different. my first ever WTC, the one that I went, or my first ETC in 2018. I played my first practice game with my army the day before because it was 2018 and it was a joke. You know, Warhammer wasn't real back then, but we did come third. So.
Yeah.
One podium that Innes has gotten.
You know what? It's on the shelf. I'm keeping it. No one. Can take
hell
it
yeah, it's still legit.
We have the same amount of podiums.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, and then the rest of our roster. So we had Olivier Weiss from Team France, who was playing an 18 Blade Guard, Dante plus Sanguinary Guard, Blood Angels list. He was our blessed, beautiful pairings beaver, princess. Sorry, and he was protected, cuddled, hugged.
And he absolutely violated every single person that he went
scored
into as a result.
95 points. The only game he didn't get a 20 was Awakened Dynasty Necrons, which frankly, fair enough, he got a 15.
Still pretty good.
Shout out to that Nightbringer that got one tapped by 2 Lancers.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I understand how it happens. Like you failed 3 out of 4 saves and you died. Like I get it, but it still sucks to hear, right? You feel bad for that Nightbringer.
I never feel bad for a Nightbringer. I feel bad for the Nightbringer player.
No, I mean, actually, no, I don't, I'm not willing to give them that either. Then we had Josh Roberts of wonderful, many famous internet things fame, who was playing Anthony's Creations of Bile list down to the models. Then we had Trent, who was playing the Nullifier Death Guard list that he played at Home Nations. What else did we have? Who was the other people working? We had Nassim.
We had Brian.
Who we put in guard jail, and we made him play the boring army of guard.
Except he had a blast every game.
He did.
Look,
but that's Nassim. He can always have fun with his game.
He was miserable before the tournament. And then he was like, I get the first defend on GW boards for 5 rounds.
He ran around.
Every good time. Leo 4. Leo 4. Leo 4.
Leo 4. 4, please. 4.
Dude, he ran around being like, dude, the tanks. Oh, the Krieg. Oh, it's all so good. Shut up, Nas.
And then we had Brian, who was in Orc prison again on Tactical Brigade.
He did fine.
He did fine. He got really upset the one time he had to attack into someone. He was like, I got a 10. This is bullshit. Except he didn't get a 10 because he timed out, or the game ended prematurely. But we'd won the round anyway, Brian. You saved us. It was fine. I don't get it. Like, not everybody can defend every round, dude. We all wanted to defend except Anthony.
Nope. Yeah. Boards don't matter. Matchups matter. Please don't make me defend.
So, overall, we were very comfortable with our team. I think everybody was pretty comfortable in their armies, knew what they were doing. We knew what our jobs were. We had a couple big pusher lists, a couple good defender lists, and a couple of stability matchups. Just a really, really comfortable, solid roundup that we were pretty happy. I think the only person that didn't have maybe triple digit reps on their army was Josh. And even that,
then,
yeah, I'm not convinced it's not I'm not convinced Josh.
maybe
and
not on that
not
particular
specifically Bile, but on CSM, Josh has definitely got triple digit games. So yeah, it's a good place to be. It's one of those team events where you go into and you're just like, that whatever's going to happen, the entire team's got you, and you're it's okay, everything's gonna be fine. It's playing with StatCheck's like a warm comfort blanket of knowing that no one's gonna fuck up. It's so nice.
It's the soft, safe,
Yeah, it's like there's a world where a couple games go weird and I could see us drawing around, but I'm always looking at it, I'm like, no one's gonna fuck up that much.
Yeah,
around.
But it's one of these things where playing with the team, it's very much like you're not looking at someone who predicted a 10 is going to come back with a 0.
That shouldn't happen. That's true.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it happened a single time. We should definitely at some point throw together a matrix analysis and see how see how everything went for people to have the benefit of hindsight. But such is life. Right, round 1, we paired into one of the main teams in AP0 Tactics.
Yep.
Tell me all about it. How was the round for you guys? So I got to play the Host of Ascension mirror, which is fucked up and should not be done to anyone. Holy shit, that guy had a rough time playing against me, the Host of Ascension mirror with me going first. There are pictures for that in our Discord, patreon.com/static. If you want to see what a Host of Ascension mirror looks like, there are pictures, and I can potentially.
Innes refused to pair himself a mirror after that.
I paired it with Gusto the first time, and then I was like, "No."
They put it down, and you went, "That's mine. I'm not even gonna give the guys a chance to think about this. This is mine. You deserve this."
It was great. It was great fun. Yeah, I wasn't doing it in a round where there was more on the line. But yeah, the highlight of that game for me was definitely dropping in my Primus unit, overwatching a 20-man and lifting 16 of them without being in rapid fire range. Because the Primus unit's a war crime.
Why
yeah, it felt pretty good.
One then.
Because the only one gets the enhancement.
What's the enhancement do?
Lethal hits.
Oh.
Then you have lethal, sustained, and 4 rerolls. Let's go.
Yeah. So the one that only gets the second one only gets sustained hits. It's just not as good. It doesn't do nearly as much damage. And because the Benefactors last the entire game, because they're lethal hits all the time, not only on the drop. Whereas the Primus unit is another only on the drop unit. So it's it's really good once and then it's never good again. So adding another worse one of those isn't worth the 75 points.
Makes sense.
Can you double join? You can't join
you can't join Benefactors. You can double join Primuses and the support characters, but Benefactors are not a support character and can't be double joined. They're yeah, I know, it's really annoying. I would run 3 Primus Benefactors units in a goddamn heartbeat.
That would be terrifying.
There's a reason that I'm not allowed to, and it's because I would do it, and I would not. I'd run 4 because I'd have a Nexus Primus unit, and then I'd have two Nexus Benny units, and then I'd have a fourth separate Benny unit with Edict. That would be horrible. I should not be allowed to do that. That would be neophytes would need to be 200 points. So yeah, got to play that one round 1. I managed to play an 18-2 in that matchup, which I felt pretty good about in 6 objective taken hold, getting an 18-2 in the mirror match.
I kept looking over. I was like, is it going to be a draw or is he winning big? I have no idea. I have no idea what this board state looks like because I also have no idea whose models are whose.
And I was borrowing models, so I barely knew whose models were whose. I kept looking at it, I'm like, this one has bands on it. It's mine.
Yeah, as we're pairing round 1, the last of us are just putting the loom bands on Innes's models.
You guys banded 2 of the 20-mans the same color.
And that wasn't me.
It was very frustrating the entire weekend. I had 2 blue squads.
Hilarious.
All right, I played into Custodes Solar Spearhead on layout 8. I'm not going to say the layout again because I was on layout 8 all 5 games.
Oh, I played on layout 6.
Pretty open one, but also it's the mirror.
Yeah, and I was pretty comfortable. We were going to shoot each other objectives. I wanted them to be in the open so there was no shenanigans. It was just killing each other.
Yeah, I played against Chen. Really nice guy. Vehicles, Solar Spearhead, no chaff in it. It had triple Caladius tanks, and then 6 or 7 dreads.
Man.
He lost 3 of those dreads turn 1 after he tried to push into Votan.
Whoops.
Turn one, both Berserk bricks connected. And I went. And 2 of the dreads that died were the contemptors that had already lost their first life to shooting. So game kind of spiraled from there.
I mean,
However, it is very hard once the Berserks are gone to kill Caladius tanks.
that tracks.
No,
I
Clady's
just kind of sat there going, I'm just going to play bumper cars with you, I guess, and just ram random shit and bikes into you because you can't kill yourself out of this. And yeah, it was a fun game. 10 was good. Yeah, but early mistakes cost him a lot.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
you had to?
We handed Anthony a golden present on a silver platter.
Yeah, I got to play Chaos Knights, and I went first
Oh, no.
on corners, and my opponent pretty wisely caught on, like, when we were deploying, that if he went in the back corner of his deployment zone, he would never win going for, like, never score even going first or second.
Yep.
Because the last time a Chaos Knights player did that to me, I took turn 1 and wasn't able to hit anything, but I staged on all the ruins, like the outside of all of the ruins in his deployment zone. And then the next turn he lost his entire arm, like all 13. So it wasn't actually that crazy, but
you still probably just broke his back, so
it was, yeah, it was like 9, 8, 9, whatever. Too many. This one instead I killed like 4, 5, 6, something like that, turn 1, and then touched a bunch of stuff, made it awkward. Still died in a lot of places because that's kind of what happens after you like stand in front of a Chaos Knights army and whiff your kill to get field. Oh no, I had to reroll a charge, so I couldn't get field no pain, so I just got shot to pieces.
that hurts.
And then what else? That was pretty much it for that. Yeah, that was.
Anthony,
that
you
was
were
it.
just microdosing the new rules where you can't have feel no pain.
True. No, occasionally I got 6-ups on my Exalted, which was different mostly because I don't have any Exalted in the new one.
Yeah, you're going to take exactly the same amount of 6-ups on Exalted.
That's true. Correct. Yeah. So, you know. Was it perfect? No. It was as close to perfect as it gets.
Did it have to be?
No, didn't have to be. So, it was a 20.
Yeah, I think broadly that round went pretty well for us. I'm going to quickly grab up our results from that round and just quickly run through the rest of the games.
We won 130-30.
We did. It was one of our better rounds, I think. But let me just quickly run through the rest of the games for anyone following along at home.
While you're doing that, to answer Lily Thara's question, we didn't play on sweeping engagement, and the tables that were available were 1, 2, 4, 6, 8,
3. Yeah, I
And
don't
then
think we didn't play on 5 and 7, and there were two
there were 2 2s and 2 8s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so didn't have to worry about playing on 7, even though that would have been fun. And thankfully, BFS chose not to go for violence and use standard WTC pairings by just doubling up on the tables rather than using the NTL pairing.
Yes,
Oh,
that was
God.
certainly
that was proposed, and then I looked at it and went,
No, let's not do that.
Ed, can we not?
Yeah.
Okay, so overall the results for that round: Josh on CSM got an 8 into Eldari, Nassim got a 20 into Death Guard with Astra, Jeremy on Votan got a 17 into Custodes, I got an 18-2 in the Gene Cyclop mirror match, Brian on Orcs got a 19 into Death Watch, Anthony on World Eaters got a 20 into Chaos Knights, Trent on Death Guard got an 8 into Astra, and Olivier on Blood Angels got a 20 into Demons for 130 points. Shout out to the AP0 Tactics Rise for being a great round 1 to land in on and just have a nice chill time with, and nothing getting out of hand, nothing getting crazy. It was also our only round in the cooler room, so
Yeah,
we should have cherished it much more while we had it.
Yeah.
It was our only round in that room.
Yeah, we would have.
As the one bit of criticism that I had for the event was, it felt like I was in Mechlin for like 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, that one room was warm.
All right. Round 2, we paired against Big Dumpster Energy, who I believe is a Philadelphia team.
It's a little bit. It's a couple Philly guys and a bunch of the DMV guys. So.
Yeah, sure. I think the DMV guys are the Big Richard Energy guys.
Yes.
And then Dumpster Fire is the other half of that, which is Sasha's team, who he abandoned.
Abandoned horribly, yeah. So this is Jeff Glaudner's team. So this round we had Nassim playing Astra into Jeffrey on Sisters, Brian on Orcs into Noah on Tau, Josh on CSM into Space Marines, Trenton on Death Guard into Eldari, Anthony on World Eaters into Votan, Jeremy on Votan into CSM, myself on GSC into Custodes, and Olivier on Blood Angels into Necrons. How were your guys' games this round, Anthony? Do you want to kick us off with that votanning?
Yeah, so I mean, Votan is not the world's like cleanest matchup for world leaders. It's touch and go. It depends on a lot. Like the go first, second roll matters a ton. The newly introduced goremongers and give you a lot of like room to not get scout scammed, which is pretty tight. And that was pretty much it. I mean, I didn't hit the infiltrate roll, but I did hit the go first roll, which meant that I like hardcore dove a corner.
Yeah, you could prevent getting smashed too early by
Both of you having infiltrates that you didn't have 6 months ago has definitely changed the dynamic of this matchup a bunch, right?
Right. So like, the fact that I was able to just like go dive a fucking corner that I normally would not have had access to, right? Meant that I, in a lot of ways, was like favored from the rip. I think the go first, in this specific deployment setup mattered a lot. Because I got a fort, a Sagittar, and the contents of the Sagittar on one.
That's pretty big.
And he like basically just like undercommitted a bit to killing all the 8-bound that I had jammed into his deployment zone, which meant that on the following turn, 2 Exalted killed 6 bikes, and then a single 8-bound killed another 3 squad of bikes, and that just like sent the game into a spiral.
Yep.
So yeah, not optimal. Yeah, that was another solid win for the boys in red. Going first and hitting opportune things.
Go first, hit hard, hit fast.
Yeah.
Jeremy, yourself into Chaos Space Marines.
I played into Bile with 30 Possessed with Abaddon and Triple Predator. It was me looking at the table going, I don't really want to push into that because that's going to hurt a lot. And him looking at 20 Berserks hiding in land forts going, I don't want to push into that because that's going to hurt. Definitely the highlight of the moment was him paying 2 CP to rapid ingress a brick and heroic to save his Rhino and then lose 6 Possessed to the Berserks that could then, to the 5 Berserks that could then swing at it.
Just let the Rhino die, brother.
The Rhino lived on 1 wound.
We did it. We saved the Rhino.
We saved the Rhino. And I think the Rhino actually lived for the rest of the game too. Oh, it might have been Renegade Raiders, not Bile, actually, now that I think about it.
Either way, brother.
Either way, it was...
It's a bad day in the office.
It was Renegade Raiders, yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. But yeah, it was a fun game. I think that was the one mistake that Matthew made in that game. Otherwise, he was a decent player, and it was a good game. It was a decent matchup. It was one that I didn't really mind because it turns out Berserks really like swinging at Possessed because hit on 3s, wound on 2s, you save on 5s, and you died every failed save. And you punching me back are AP1 off of an objective, and I can actually void armor, and I get an armor save.
That's disrespectful.
That is fucking rude.
They're also only strength 5, which means that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which means they wound me on 4s.
Sure do.
Possessed.
Possessed is the worst.
I'm not happy
Both times
about
that he
new
swung
8-bound.
Possessed into Berserks, he's like, I have to use my devs here because if not, you might live, and this would be bad.
Yeah. I don't like new 8-bound a lot of the time, but they're not possessed. So
yeah, they have an AP
AP
characteristic and they have a strength characteristic that don't make you sad to use.
dude, they're literally twice as strong as possessed.
Yep.
Twice as strong, twice the AP.
Not +2, 2x. God damn.
And they miss half as much as well. Is this very specific verbiage you got to use there?
Yeah, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How about yourself, Innes? What'd you end up
I
into?
got the distinct pleasure of getting board choice against Custodes. And Brendan did like the right things of like screening with the Caladiuses and like making me bring some units in. And then you get into like the mid game against Custodes and you start being like, so I'm going to rapid ingress this Primus unit in front of a Warden brick. Would you like to pop your Field of Pain on Overwatch? No? Pick up 4 Wardens. Yes. Pick up them next turn. Like there's no good interaction there, right? And then there's this awful thing as well where like a 20-man dies, you bring it back in line of sight of a Warden brick. And I just sit there and I'm like, I could spend 4 CP to just murder you here. Do you want to pop a Feel No Pain? And he has to be like, well, you could +1 to wound, you could crit 5s, you could do grenade, you could, and he's like, I guess I pop it. And I'm like, cool, shoot anything else. And then I like charged onto his home objective with the 20-man and like it was a whole like just disjointed the army. It's an awful matchup for Custodes. With board choice, it gets even worse.
I was playing next to
Brendan,
Innis and just listening to him kind of walk his opponent through why the matchup was as bad as it is was very enlightening for me.
The number of times that just like the last one captain is like, all right, I've drawn no prisoners, I've drawn overwhelming force. Maybe I could scrape this over the 50 bar. And I'm like, you've got 5 wounds left. Overwatch, charge mortals, and just like constantly breaking sequence with the army as well against an army that doesn't have a way to deal with that. And then also just the sheer math of like 4 wardens or 3 wardens of the character just don't kill 20 guys consistently, right? Hitting on 2s, winning on 2s. There's just so many fail points there. With
you
like
get a save.
It's like 20. I don't get a save, but it's 22 attacks, right? And then it's hitting on 2s with sustained. It's 22 hits, and then wounding on 2s. It's like 17 wounds, and that's like not going to kill my unit. And then I res onto the objective, and you can't shoot me. So it like just breaks the parity on that map.
And I can't do chip damage to you because then
exactly. The only way they can do chip damage, fly over mortals from the bikes, which is once per game.
Wait, or that's once per game?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Are they not all once per game abilities? Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not reloadable. It's because it's not a character ability.
Yeah.
It's the bikes.
Yeah.
Gross.
So it's one of those ones where you're just like, anytime that you can leverage the fact that you have a 20 model squad that's very hard to interact with, Host is at its strongest. And a few of the games I got to play this weekend were very much being able to leverage that tool.
How many Neos does a Eater's Fiend kill? It's like 10.
It's not 20.
It's like
it should
12.
be. You would get what 15 plus 3. You should average 21 shots, and then you're hitting on forceful rerolls, which means you should hit 15 and a half, 15. Call it 16 times. You wound on 2s should be 13, so it should kill 13, which is still really bad, right? Like I don't want to take that activation, but it's not like killing. But I can lift my unit and still have all the guns, right?
It's no noise marines.
Yeah, 6 is the magic number for all the guns. All the guns are back once you res 3 models with the icon, because you need 9 models to have all of the heavy weapons plus the character. So if something doesn't kill 15 guys, you don't lose any output for major damage output. You lose shotguns and stuff like that, and positioning, and you're much more vulnerable to overwatches. Like there are obviously downsides, but you can keep most of the unit going at that point. So yeah, very, very, very interesting game. But yeah, one of those ones where this was one of those games as well where I went first and just stood still. I was just like, I rolled 2 advances that were both ones and was like, all right, I was like, a Gene Stealer rolled the 1 to get on a side objective. Neophyte rolled the 1 to get in the middle. And I was like, cool, man, I'm not going on those and still hit 50 primary, because if you flip your opponent's home objective in Scorched Earth, you get all your primary back anyway. You don't have to be that aggressive.
That's 15 points at the end of the game right there.
It was 25 because I held 2 and burned his home. So I got 25 point turn 5 in Scorched Earth. It's a little rough.
It's pretty good. That is pretty good. The rest of the round, do you have it up, or I have it up if not?
Yeah, I have it up here. So Nassim got a 15 into Jeff. Brian got a 20 into Noah on the tag.
I just want to talk about that pairing for a minute. Jeff's a pretty good player. He won Tampa, I guess almost 2 years ago now, going through most of Art of War with Sisters back. So this is back in the fall of 23.
Back before everyone thought Sisters were as bad as people thought World Eaters were before Anthony started playing them.
Yeah, pretty much. But they attacked into Nassim with him. And I just went, Nassim, take that, and you're just going to obliterate him, because you take table, he has nowhere to hide, and all of his cute tricks don't do anything, because you can just shoot a character to death and then walk onto it with 20 Kriegsmen and say, what are you going to do? And there were definitely moments when I walked by that table. And pardon?
And Knots did that.
He did exactly that. There were multiple times where I walked by that table, different, like, I don't know what to do here. I'm just dead.
Yeah, attacking into guard is really sad. It's not a thing you want to have to do.
No, none of us wanted to.
None of us wanted to. Just nobody did. You got teams players. Take guard. It's really good.
It is really, really good.
Josh got a 20 into Space Marines. This poor guy had triple Repulsor Executioner and like took a full Bile activation turn to the face and just like got clean, like rolled off the table, like swept up into a dustpan and brush. Josh was done in like 15 minutes. And he wasn't, because it's Josh. He was done in like 3.5 hours. But Trenton got an 11 into Eldari with his Death Guard, and Olivier got a 15-5 into Necrons with the World Eaters.
And Brian got a 20 into Noah, who was playing Tau.
Yeah. This is one of those games where you look over and you're like, yeah, orcs are totally fine. It's like he's out shooting the Tau army while the Tau army's pinned in its deployment zone. Just like,
For all
the
the
fuck is
complaining
going
Brian
on?
did about tank busters, they really busted a lot of tanks that game.
They certainly did bust a lot of tanks. I did at one point watch him hand a Riptide 7 saves that passed all of them though. So, I can see where Brian's coming from.
Yeah, but that's
And
just Riptides. Riptides are too cheap. They need to be more expensive.
that's when you bounce like Brian does. We all know Brian is
Fuck
Brian loves to
Riptides,
bounce.
dude. All my homies hate Riptides.
Rip,
Fuck that
Riptides
tank.
are
They may as
load
well have a
bear-
2-up invuln when I play against Riptides.
I think we said this at the start of the edition, but like Lone Up and Rapid Ingress were like the glue holding this edition to being playable. Riptides are that for Tau, the Tau Codex. Like you can't Tau don't need nerfs, but Riptides do. And I don't know what you have to change about that, but like something's got to go in that equation, right?
I know you do. You just make them +1 point, and just watch as every single Tau player goes, no.
+1 point, but you can run 5 of them, and then they'll all run exactly 5 of them. Make them battle line and a new detachment.
Oh,
Careful what you manifest there.
oh, easy.
Before you know, we'll have battle line just battle suits in general.
I don't need to play
They're-
against a world where, look, I like my Genestealer cult, but if I have to play in a world where somebody can run 6 squads of Sarsthides, I'm just not going to. Like, I don't.
They don't run 3 now. Like suits
I
might
know.
as well be battle line. There's so many different data sheets. You could just run
But
as
if
many
they-
suits as you want.
But I know that if I could run that, I would just be doing that. I'd just be like, I have so many flamers. This is glorious.
Pretty much.
All right. So round 3, we played against one of the second place team from last year of the Chimera, featuring a friend of the show, TJ Lanigan, and also Anthony's new teammate, Sam.
Yep, correct. Mr. Pope.
Anthony's understudy.
yeah, the world
And
eater.
Anthony's what's
He's
the
more of
opposite
like
of an idol?
Yeah, it's more of an overstudy situation. He's quite a bit taller than me, but
That's
No, he's on his knees regularly learning from you.
that's not true. He took world eaters this weekend and did a really good job, except for once. And it was one mistake, cost him a lot of diff points.
And was picking table 1 against me instead of
Well,
table 2 and 3. And
no,
also
I
his
mean,
game
that's
No,
with
he made 2 big mistakes.
Sure. Yeah, his game with Sasha was one of those ones where you look at it, you're like, oh, a couple small inflection points in this game goes very differently. They played on stream in game 5 against Art of War. Right. So the Chimera, friends of Anthony's, friends of the show, bunch of great people. We have Nassim playing against Mike D'Angelis on Eldari, Anthony playing against Tony Phillips on Space Marines, Trenton playing against Alex Fennell, who is on 18 Wraith Star Shatter on Necrons.
Gamer.
Jeremy Atkinson into Jack Murphy on Genestealer Cult, Olivier into TJ on Chaos Demons, Shadow Legion, myself into Sam Pope on World Eaters, Brian Sipe into Dan Wilmoth on Astra Militarum, and Josh into Benjamin Rubenstein on Orcs. Jeremy, do you want to kick us off? How was your game into the Genestealer Cults?
So I played against
on layout 8, just before anyone.
layout 8. Like, nothing changed here. I'm still not sure who picked layout 8 in that game. I think
Him.
they did.
He picked it. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
I think they first defended with GSC and picked this board first, or second.
Anyways,
something.
It was. I'm gonna say it right now. It's very interesting playing Jack because he's like 16 or 17. There were a couple of moments where he was like, "Why are you beating up on a kid?" And
I
went,
love that he does that.
I paid to be here, bro.
I went, look, if you're gonna play up against the big boys, you're gonna get burnt. Like, do you need me to go threaten to go beat up your dad or something instead of beating you up?
My favorite thing about Jack is that sometimes when he goes to an event, he'll tell people it's his first event, and he went like 7-1 at WCW, like
gaslighting. So I had this down as like orange, maybe yellow, but it's GSC. If they fuck up, I can do some very, very mean things to them with Votan because of how fast I am. And he made a slight mistake, and he ended up with a Sagittar charging 2 of his units of Steeler, or one of his Neophyte bricks, along with an Acolyte unit, which meant that I didn't have to swing at the Neophyte brick. I could hit the Acolytes, and then the other Neophytes were stuck in combat. And then I also used the go first to just 6-inch screen almost the entire board. So he had to 6-inch deep strike in his zone, which was
that ain't great.
less than ideal.
That is totally fine sometimes.
Yeah, the problem was that he basically then never left his zone.
And like this was linchpin, like you got a lot of comeback opportunity. Like it's fine. You secret mission, you table the Votan by turn 2. It's all good. It's fine. It's totally playable.
Yeah, I put as soon as I realized that going first that he had made that mistake and I was able to do that, He only had
how many Neo Swords did he start on the table?
He started 2 Neos on the board.
3 against Votan minimum.
And he learned that after the fact, because I knocked one out, and the other one was deployed in such a way that it basically did play the game for 2 turns. Because of how layout 8 is set up, I went, yeah, that one just there.
Layout 8's a tough place to play this, especially this
Yeah.
was Crucible, right? Or Search and Destroy, right? So it was really like layout 8 was very awkward in this one. I remember because I played against World Eaters on Search and Destroy.
Yes,
so
it was Search.
So
there was definitely some very hilarious happenings where bikes just basically never left my DZ for a couple turns.
Layout 8 on Search is super weird because you have the walkover on the side ruins next to you, but they still cut off like insane swathes of board angles, which is really tough for certain units.
Yeah, and so basically, I kept the pressure on. On turn 3, I decided to push even more into him because I drew Cull, and it was staring at 4 Neophyte bricks, all of which I could kill if I decided to allocate the resources correctly. And so I full killed 2 of them. He brought 1 back, and then I had a double activation into the 3rd one, and he went, I cannot afford to lose this unit too, and paid to pull it, which of course then meant that unit didn't play another turn and a half because he had to bring it in Guam to come up against me. We kept complaining about the cauldron. I went, it just meant that I could ditch defend for a CP because then you weren't tempted to try to deny it. I didn't want you to be tempted to do that because I want you to stay over there because I've shoved you into your zone.
Bro, if you can't handle the call draw, don't play GSC. I don't know how to explain this to you.
It's gonna happen on the most inopportune time. It's the same thing playing. The same thing playing Nassim's guard list where you kind of go. Sometimes you draw call right when both Creek bricks die.
Yep. If you're gonna play Genestealer cults and you're doing the Matrix for teams, this is quick hint. Matrix assuming you're going second and they draw call on turn 2. And if you Matrix assuming that, you'll never be disappointed.
Yep. And
then it's all upside from there.
He did have it predicted as a favorable matchup into every other Votan player except for me.
Oh, that's cute.
Which I thought was very adorable. So that ended up in a 15-5 for me. I think if I hadn't drawn Cull, it would have been like a 13-7 or so. Either way, above prediction. I was happy with it. It was fun. When we won, spoilers, I gave him my combat patrol because he said that he was starting Votan right after this weekend. So I went, well, you've now learned how to play it, and I don't need this because I have 3 of everything in it already. Enjoy.
Very nice. As for myself, I got the pleasure of playing against Sam Pope this round, who is a wonderful person to play against. He went first on Search and Destroy. I deployed like a coward in my... I had like the Gene Castle cult on layout 1. I had like the 220 mans an inch off the wall, protected by like a 10-man with a layer of 5 Genestealers behind that, with a layer of 5 Genestealers behind that. So there was like no cascades happening. You run a cascade into Stealers. Like that's all you're doing. And then 2 Saboteurs on the corner. If he wants to take aggressive things, I'm blowing him up. I'm killing an 8-bound, maybe 2 on the way in. You're not getting to go aggressive. And I put 120-man with that character on the line a little back where I could walk out to see anything that charged it, so that if he wanted to aggro into that unit, I'd get a turn 1 drop. And then I could go in. He goes first. He rolls up advance and charge and goes for it. And I'm like, respect, fair enough. I get it. So his Angron comes flying in. His 6 8-band coming flying in. I put 3 damage on the 8-band squad as it comes on the exotic 8-band as they come in with the bomb. They charge the 20-man. Angron strikes to make sure the 8-band can consolidate further forward to like get themselves into a slightly better hiding position. So I only end up being, and then the 20-man gets lifted. I drop it in. It hits the 9-inch charge. Wraps his Rhino. Very good. Very happy with that situation. What's not to love, you know?
Edge.
It's not, you know, I don't think, sorry, he didn't hit advanced charge turn 1. So he ended up taking sustained hits, I think. And then popped the Feel No Pain strat from killing me. He hit advanced charge on turn 2. So my turn 1, I like heroic to my Genestealers into his Goremongers to make sure they didn't lift my 10-man to just keep the asset active. Picked up most of the Goremongers, but I had to fall back from them. And then like kind of pushed out, let him have his 10, or let him have his 8, I guess. We're playing banners, and he's the only person except John that's ever picked Call Assassinate against me. So he did start going for his points on that, which is totally respectable. His turn, he goes for the advanced charge. I Rapid Ingress in my Primus unit to try to shoot his 8-band squad as it goes in, because the World Eaters are very low on assets, and his spawn hit the 10 into me. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. it was annoying, but not in a way that like broke the back of it. I had hit the 9 earlier. He hit the 10 there. I'm obviously salty about it in the moment because it's it's a much lower, less likely to charge. Also, the annoying thing was actually that he hit it without the reroll because he was playing fixed. He only had 1 CP per battle round, and he was using his pretty aggressively, and he was rapidly using 8-bound squad and stuff like that. But it meant that he got the Feel No Pain active because he didn't have to CP reroll it, so he got to kill a unit and get the Feel No Pain up, which was like god fucking bullshit. If he hadn't had the Feel No Pain up, it would have just been like fucking Jover. So I then I punched back. I popped the crit 5 strat in combat to try to punch my way out of the spawn. Got one down to 2 wounds, I think, because he hadn't had to roll the charge, so he had the 4 Feel No Pain active, so I couldn't quite punch my way through them. But that did let me, because he obviously connected to that unit, I was able to use the models that he killed to res and walk onto an unsticky home objective and res myself onto the middle to score an 8 on primary that turn. So it ended up being bad for me, but not as bad as because of where I was and what I could do with it. And then from there, I kind of just slow time tabled him as I pushed up the board. The Karn squad came out, charged up the way at a 20 man, and then I dropped in a bunch of stuff 7 away from it, or moved a bunch of stuff 7 away from it, shot it to bits, and then just sort of cleared up 8-man from there. And Angron never rezzed, and I ended up winning 14-6, which feels pretty that's the low end of the matchup. It's really hard for it to get worse than a 12, even with him playing Cull. He actually didn't score his assassinates. He got 12 on it and then had 2 more points from banners and 20 on Call the Horde, but he didn't get his last assassinates until his last spawn hero played and killed 2 saboteurs on turn 5 for the 2 remaining points that represented. But yeah, really awesome game. It was great to get to play Sam. World Eaters remain completely terrible into Gene Cult. Shocking. Nobody that just you get to res Angron occasionally. I get so much more reses. It's so bad for them. And again, just the attack volume to kill 20 guys just isn't really there, except in a couple specific places. Even Angron doesn't consistently do it even with sustained hits up. It's a little sketchy, which is pretty nice. It's a good place to be. But yeah, if he's he did wipe me there because he was next to 8-bound. And if you're next to 8-bound, they just die. But if you don't have sustained hits, full rerolls, and 8-bound rerolls, you probably don't kill 20.
You got to make sure you got
to have the full suite, and then it's all right, man, it's gonna die. But yeah, it's not super clean outside of that. So yeah, I was happy with that one. For the rest of the round, Nassim got a 19 into Mike DeAngelis on Eldar. Trenton got an 8 into Fennel on Necrons. Olivier got a 20 into TJ on Chaos Demons. That is the game from this round that is on stream. So if you want to see that game, you can go and check out War Games Live. I believe Olivier and TJ had a fantastic game where Olivier...
For TJ's ego, maybe don't check out that game. That was a pretty brutal pounding that he took there.
Ego death is important. Can't have ego in 40K.
True.
For sure. Brian did go down 16-4 to Daniel Wilmoth on Astra, and Josh got a 20 into the Orcs with the Bile. All right.
Anthony,
big round.
How was your game?
Oh yeah, Anthony.
My round was great. Me and Tony. I've known Tony for a while. Tony's my boy. We did Joel Hammer together, which is a charity event run up here in the Northeast. We've played a couple of times. Me and Tony likes to play real cool, and I knew that going in. And I think a lot of their Matrix was a bit of a shit show into me, so I took an educated guess that even though it was Gladius on Gladius's table choice, that if I just was cool, Tony would also just be cool. And that worked out.
You two were definitely the most chill table in that round.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of just maybe. I could. I'm not gonna.
Then you guys would just walk away together.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing
everybody
in
that game was just I don't want to be the guy. Do you want to be the guy? I don't want to be the guy.
This could go real bad real fast. Let's not.
Yeah. You have 2 oaths and I have 3 scary units. You ain't getting them all in Overwatch, homie. If you get close to me, I'm gonna kill your ass. And then he was like, all right, fair enough. And he stayed over there. So it worked. So obviously
Anthony was very, very upset when that happened, though.
I mean, I was terrified. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that
you're
goes.
like, I'm gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
I personally, Anthony whinged like a child during this pairing. I want to just put it out there.
That's being nice.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? That's not the right way to do that. It's fine.
We're all sat there like,
usage.
Anthony's got it down as 10. I trust Anthony. Now, is there a reason that it was down as 10? Is it because Brian fucked with his matrix and Anthony tried to update it and it didn't all update over Wi-Fi?
Maybe.
Well, no, it was that Anthony said he did his Matrix.
I
It
did.
didn't update on Wi-Fi, which I believe that you did it. I just
Yeah.
also believe that Google Sheets is Google Sheets. Brian saw it was blank, fucked with Anthony's pairings, and gave him 5 booyahs and 3 reds.
You
At which
copied
point
Olivier's
Anthony then had to
Matrix.
very hurriedly update his one for what was going to be a fairly tough round.
Yep.
But you got your yellow, you got your 10, so it's all good.
No, I still don't. I would not describe it as all
Anthony,
good.
it was all good. Nothing ever went wrong. Anthony could have got 0. We'd have still won the round. Like, I don't understand what his problem was here. Anthony and Brian spent so much time whinging about this round. They tried to take over pairings for day 3.
I mean, that was not why that happened. We were just like, we could do the last round. It'll be fine.
The last round, maybe, but I said no to Brian. I didn't realize you were also part of that. I would have said yes to you and Brian because you would have held back the worst of his
That's
tendencies.
not how Brian and Anthony spiral
That's so
off
much
each other.
funnier. Yeah, Brian is much better at pairings. Most things, really. He's not watching today, so I could say that, than I am. So, yeah, the idea that I would be allowed to do it, but not him, hilarious.
I trust you more than I trust Brian.
Even funnier. Yeah,
Clearly, we need to play it all on a team together with Brian and have Brian do round 1 pairings and prove me wrong.
not me. You should not have me do pairings ever.
All right.
So we won that round 110 to 50.
We certainly did.
Comfy. Cruising.
Now,
And we
it's
played the
worth shouting
finals.
out very quickly here that the tiebreak at this tournament was not battle points. It was game wins for some reason,
Yeah.
which definitely not a huge fan of, but it did mean that we were in second coming into the overnight. And Art of War were in first. So we paired Art of War in game 4 in Purge the Foe, the most anticlimactic round you can possibly pair someone in, and one of the worst team missions of all time. It's like
Draw City right there.
even as a noted supply drop hater, Purge of the Foe is a worse mission than supply drop for teams. Because at least with supply drop, you know shit's gonna go wild and you can plan for it. In Purge, you're like, is that game gonna be a snore fest or a blowout? Nobody knows. So supply drop, you at least know it's gonna be a blowout. So this round we had Ben playing Brian, Ben on Ashura, Brian on Orcs, Richard on Necrons into Nassim on Guard. That is the stream game for this round. Quentin on Sisters into Anthony on World Eaters, Sasha on Chaos Space Marines into myself on Gene Circle, Kyle on World Eaters, who subbed in for Jack last minute, so shout out to Kyle for stepping up and doing that, into Olivia on Blood Angels, John on Stormlance, Stormraven, the unit that lives in my nightmares, Ultramarines, Josh on Chaos Space Marines, again, and then Michael on Orcs against Trenton on Death Guard, and Nick on Eldar against Jeremy on Votan. So pairings this round. First defending guard is stressful, guys. I don't know what people are meant to attack this shit with, dude. Every time I look at it, I'm like, all right, so what do we offer this? We offered it like Orcs and me. We're like, it'll be okay for one of us.
It was Orcs and something.
Brian
else,
was
I don't
very
remember.
confident that he could at least get a 10 out of that matchup. So we said,
Off you go.
I think
He
he
was
also
right.
needed to make up for losing to Wolmuth in the round previous.
Brian was not happy with us taking this pairing. I'm pretty sure we said to Brian, like, there's no way you didn't learn anything from last game. You'll be fine. Valentine, if people are picking Assassinating Call to you, it's mostly a bad thing because people are not good at playing fixed. They will just like flounder with the lack of CP, and it's very easy to plan what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you just play like a bitch with your saboteurs. And how often do you really lose your benefits anyway? Reroll a hazardous check every now and then, you'll be fine. Chill out. Right. So, Anthony, you played Quentin. Do you want to tell us how you scammed a retiring man?
So, like, look, here's what happened. I've heard several times now that I've scammed this man.
You
And
did.
listen, I scammed him a little bit. All right.
Actually, he scammed himself.
I had to set up a fucking 5-step fight phase play that got partially interrupted by an entire unit of 8-bound dying to Vol's Overwatch, and you know, normal business on a day.
That's some Vol. That's some real Vol hours. That is.
Thankfully, you know, Quentin was playing the Set My Miracle Dice on Fire detachment because he rolled no less than a 4 until turn 4 on every one that he generated. So, you know, whew. Now, really what happened was me and Quentin got to the bottom of turn 3, and I think it was 15 or like 18 minutes or something like that. because it was purge, and we were just like, no reason to move, and then he was like, no reason to move, and then I was like, no reason to move, and then he was all, no reason to move. His first like 3 game actions were like, get out of a rhino, to get out of his deployment zone, do a sabotage outside of charge range, and then on his turn he just like walked back in his deployment zone, got back in the ride, and I was like,
Powerful.
fair enough. I guess that's what type of game we're playing. And then I went and like took a little look around and was like, okay, it looks like everything's, going largely to code. I can't get worse than like a 10 really unless shit goes like wildly wrong. So I'm gonna take 60% plays. We're gonna see how this goes. And not a lot of them worked. He passed every fallback check. I biffed a charge that made me have to do a reroll that meant I couldn't do a blood blessing or something like that. Happened in this game also. Annoying. And that was like most of where things were like, I was like, oh, maybe it gets crazy from that point, right? Except that it didn't get crazy because when I finally went in, like the time is now. Everybody goes in. I like get everything out of rhinos. I'm setting up, do stuff. Angron gets a good advance, runs forward. Woo! Things are looking good. I charge a rhino in to stop a sacrosanct heroic. I get my 8 exalted squad into his 10 sacrosancts. I get my 8 bound killed in Overwatch, and then I get my MOE squad into like the same sacrosancts that the exalted are in with. Things are looking good. We're in a pretty good spot. Angron kills the squad that he's in engagement range of. He's near the exalted. Things are good. Exalted go. 18 attacks, 24 hits, normal business for Exalted 8 bound. We're no longer rerolling wounds. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it won't. Fucking 18 wounds. Fails enough. Fucking dies. MOE piles in, kills Vol. Good life. Easy money.
So this was told to me slightly differently because Quinton told me that you handed him 14 4-up invulns on the
It might have been
Sacrosanct
14.
unit,
I think it was
and
like
he
16.
failed 10 of them.
Yeah, it was like 14 or 16
or
or
11
like
of them
that.
rather. So even with a reroll, unit gone.
Yeah, they just died.
Like
Sucks to suck.
average dice shouldn't happen, but also
Average dice don't happen.
no, they don't.
Yeah. Average
You
dice
always
is
roll
a
one
lie
side of
told-
average.
Average dice is a lie sold to people by big math. It just exists to make people that can do the math mad. You're never going to see an average permutation of dice in your life. It's just not going to happen.
That's not
Hey,
true.
I do 3 grenade all the time.
Uh-huh. That's because you grenade more than God.
That is true. Someone did call shot me in the Goonhammer Discord of every time I ask Innes about a listing, it's just so he can grenade more. And
Yeah.
Best
not
strat in the
wrong.
game.
It's the only strat in the game. I played so much Tyranids that I played Tyranids to grenade people.
Yeah.
That's why I played Synaptic Nexus.
There are more grenades in Innis's games than there are in like Raytheon's headquarters. Like it's insane, dude.
I do love a grenade strat. I do like bypassing the hit and wound roll.
Yeah.
And going straight to
Big
these are your
damage.
failed saves. No, very good. Jeremy, how about yourself? You got to play the wonderful Nick Nanavati.
Yeah, so
War Supreme.
Nick and I have known each other for a few years now because he does commentary at the U.S. Opens that I help judge, but we've never played. I've watched him play a couple times, but never like because he's played at a couple of the events that I've judged, but we've never had the opportunity to play. So we were both really excited for the game. But of course, it's Purge. He's playing Yunari. I'm playing Votan, and we just sat behind our walls and occasionally did things to each other. It was again on layout 8, and this one was actually hilarious for layout 8 because he had nothing outside of 12-inch range. Well, he had Dark Reapers, but
Not for long.
really. Not for long. So there was this home ruin, my DZ ruin, and just this death zone in his DZ where I kept a unit of bikes in reserves for 3 straight turns just to force him to put a unit out there to die. Because if he didn't put a unit out there to die from a land fort on the other end of the table, the bikes show up there and take us home. And every single time he did that, I went, I hate this. This sucks. I went, give me the kill. I want the kill. And then he would just, yeet a unit out and do the same thing to me. And eventually by like turn 4 or 5, neither of us were standing on any objective but our home. And just
Nice.
basically were staged to be like, You want to commit? Do you want to go get area now? Do you want to go get cleanse? Do you want to go do locus? And yeah, just nothing.
Do you want points? Do you want to
yeah.
give me 8 for taking points? Do you want a card? No.
No. The highlight though definitely was the berserks killing 4 warp spiders turn 1 with indirect, and him going, I wanted to use that unit. I went, no, don't want warp spiders in my backfield.
The perfect number too.
Yeah. Well, he had the Axe Arc on 2 wounds because he didn't do the like I'm gonna soak 1 on here.
Sure.
But it is still that perfect, like, do you want to come near me? Would you like to come into my zone? Would you like to try to do something cheeky with them? Because it's not going to work.
I will Overwatch you with a Sagittar. This is 5 shots with sustained hits. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that was something I left out of the Jack game. I Overwatched the Sagittar on a 20-man Neophyte brick and killed 9.
Oh,
Sorry, Landfort, not a Sagittar. But that's because. So this is the funniest part about this is I got the mythical 8 hits on the big con.
yeah.
And then rolled 5 ones to wound.
And still killed 9?
Yeah, because the autocannons and the bolt cannons picked up 6 on their own. It was very much like I could have killed like 14 of you idiots here.
Yeah, I hit Sasha with a 6/6 mining laser Overwatch in my game, and I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude. That's 2 lethals and 2 sustains.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, it like there was some good play, but largely the two of us were playing a very chill game of we know this matchup, we know this mission, we're just going to play for a 10. And at the end of the game, he got really excited because he thought it was an 84-84 final. And then I was like, nope, 2 points on engage. 86-84. My game. But aside from that, super nice guy to play. Really glad that I finally had the opportunity to play him. Would definitely play again. Not on Perch, though. And also, fuck Yanari.
Fuck Yanari, dude.
Funniest moment of that game was me killing a unit of... Every single time I killed a unit, he wasn't sure if he wanted to move the Incarn because I would always kill the unit with 3 other things facing that unit. And I put 2 of the initial tokens on the Incarn going. So he didn't commit her till turn 4 when almost everything was dead. But the one unit that I killed a unit of Scorpions turn 1. And so he lethal intended some fire dragons towards me. I went, that's going to be a problem. He's going to go after my land fort. So I charged them. I made an 11-inch charge or 9-inch. 9, 10, might have been an 11.
Say 11. Say 11. It's
I'm going to say 11. An 11-inch charge with a Sagittar into them and killed 2.
Oh.
And he kind of looked at that and went, that's a problem, isn't it? Can you fall back and shoot? You went, nope. Okay.
Oops.
Back into the Wave Serpent they went.
Scammed. Very nice. Yeah. I talked a little bit about my game with Sasha earlier, but I'll shout out the other thing this game. He hit movement and had warp talons, which makes this game just inherently a little sketchy. I think he hit movement and weapon. Movement and weapon skill, I think, or movement and weapon skill, I think is what it was, which is like the right stretch of sketchy for, okay, got to take a little bit of a step back, not play that aggressive. I ended up going first, which is, generally pretty good for the army, but in this mission on this deployment, I definitely could have done without. Especially since I think he might have just picked movement if he'd gone first, and they wouldn't have had the weapon skill as well. And I was very set up for him to have movement. Took a very, very slow turn 1, kind of prodded forward with the Neophyte squad, ready to like walk onto the middle or like throw a grenade and stuff like that. Make him come and deal with it in some capacity to just like start that piece trade game. We're both going to get like 40 something primary in this mission. I'm not too fussed about like not giving him kills on turn 1 and stuff like that. Just taking my cards is going to be more important. And then what I want to do as quickly as I can is start stripping down his cultists in his backfield so that I can start making him leave real units back there with my indirect. Potentially try to chip some damage on the war talons, but it doesn't really help that much because he'll just start bringing them back with his CP. Not that big a deal. And what I want at Extremis is when he commits his possessed squads, I want them to be like 7-mans. 7-mans are manageable because 7 guys don't kill 20 neophytes, and that means I res on the objective and hold it again, and that gets me hold mores. So you do a lot of this game of like wrap it into Overwatch and just Overwatch with lethal hits and some grenades and see what happens. Pop a charge mortal, pop a thing. And, I got a lot of that. I managed to stun lock the Chosen Squad with Prime Test Subject. It jumped out, went for an Overwatch. I rapided the Primus Squad and was like, you moving? And I think he spent like 5 minutes deciding if he was going to charge with it and decided not to. I was like, it's probably for the best. And then walked forward and I like lasered 3 units off the table with that unit. And he was like, I see why I don't charge. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, very, very interesting set of
Overwatch. Fun and interesting mechanic.
Overwatch is totally fine. It shouldn't change at all, and I should be allowed to do it twice a turn with every unit. They should give Tau back generic Overwatch. Right? That should just be a thing they do every. Like, I'm gonna stop saying this in case I manifest it. I don't need that in my life.
Don't.
Yeah, the sort of general trend of this one was eventually I opened up his backfield. I got one turn of wrapping the possessed the Bile Rhino to slow it down a little bit. The next turn he chose not to get it out because I still had a bunch of damage left. And I deployed 3 units on the board and just stared all of them at the middle objective for the entire game and one of them at my side objective and was just like, you can't ever really come through to my side. So he never really crossed midfield, which meant that I just constantly got my points. And then I started getting hold mores once he started bleeding units. I got a, like 1 turn of kill more as well. Because it's actually, again, it's quite hard for him to really kill my stuff. I think I ended this game with like two res points left because just nothing died. Like you just use the 5 mans to screen, and it's quite hard for him to commit to them because the Warp Talons, if they commit to a 5 man and get heroic by a 20 man, don't leave, and he can't really justify that. But he ended up like having a good turn 5 draw that was like an active card and a hold one, and like a couple little things like that got him to like the threshold of like 92. And I left Bile on 2 wounds while holding Assassinate and then didn't kill him in combat the next turn with 20 neophytes. So I was like, you bastard, which would have got me the 11. But thankfully, didn't matter because the rest of the team are heroes. And we did, in fact, win the round 86-74, where 85 is the draw cutoff and 86 is a win. So, no waste. So Team StatCheck, we are known for a couple things now, but one of them is apparently not wasting effort. 87 into XPZ, 86 into Art of War. Look, don't show more than you have to, right? Like, what are we gonna do? We didn't need to embarrass these teams. We just need to beat minimums. Them. We didn't need to embarrass them. We just need to beat them. Like, we don't need to say that we're much better than them. Just a little better.
Yeah, a bunch of random hobos beat a government-sponsored team.
That's right.
Sure. So Brian got a 10 into Ben on the Astra. Nassim got a 6 into Richard on the Necrons. Anthony 16 into Quinton on Sisters. Myself 10 into Sasha on the Chaos Space Marines. Olivier Hero got a 20 into poor Kyle. Josh got a 3 into the Stormraven. Thank you, Godspeed, for diving on that table 3 grenade. That was not pleasant and it did not look fun. Godspeed to the Stormraven in the balance data slate though.
Hopefully it dies.
I hope so much. Trenton got an 11 into Michael on the Orcs, and Jeremy got a 10 into Nick. So very broadly, we had 2 big wins our side with Anthony and Olivier, 1 really big win for John, and then a small win for Richard, and then 10s down the line for the rest with 1 to our upside for Trenton, which scraped it over the line for us. It was fabulous. It was great to see. So yeah, shout out to the rest of the StatCheck guys. Shout out to Art War for just being a fantastic ride to play. I think everybody had a really great time, and it was great to see them. We also we went for dinner with them afterwards. I drank a yard of cider. Ben sat on my lap. It was great. Just all good things. And then for the last round on day 3, because it was 2 games a day, which is a lovely little schedule, we played against Obliterati on the sweat tables. Unfortunately, we didn't get this round on stream. They put Art War versus Chimera on stream. I still think
that is a more interesting round.
I disagree. I think they were still technically playing for the win against the Obliterati, but such is life.
They did the same thing to us when they round 5 of Champs Cup. Joe was like, nope.
Apparently, we're just not interesting enough. Chimera got to play on stream 3 times. We only got to be on twice. All I'm saying.
I'm not allowed on stream ever, so
It's because no one will. Some people understand how World Years works if you go on stream again.
Yeah.
You can only go on the XPZ stream.
Also, a 5-minute game is not the world's most interesting Warhammer.
Yeah, that's actually why I started playing. That's why I started playing GSE, so Joe could justify putting me on stream, and he's just not had it. It's heartbreaking.
Actually, the lights from playing on stream give me a thunderous headache, so I am very happy that I don't have to do that.
Totally fair as well.
When I play on TTS, I actually have to go through the game deleting the fucking line of sight lines that everyone draws the entire time, because that also just seems to shatter my mind.
To be fair, I delete those in the regular too, because they're just annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Clean desk policy, people.
No.
All right. Last round into Obliterati.
Obliterati, who did fly over. They imported someone from further away than we did, David Gaylard, all the way from New Zealand.
Not really.
He's from New Zealand.
He doesn't live there.
He's from there. That's not important. So we played against Obliterati. I'm very much looking forward to Mike's write-up on Warhammer of your game, Anthony. I just really am waiting for it. So Jeremy played into Asher Miltarum. Trenton played into Votan. Anthony played into Chaos Knights. Nassim played into David, which is very funny. Flew all the way over from London to play against each other.
Nassim wanted that matchup.
I'm not surprised. I played into Grey Knights, Josh played into Necrons, Brian played into Drakari, and Olivier played into Orcs. From the top, Jeremy, how was your game?
My game was fantastic. I played my 5th round on layout 8. I was first defender, and they were like, "You get table pick." I went, just give me 8. I know what I'm doing on that table.
8 against guard. What an
yeah.
innovator you are.
It was beautiful. I sat behind walls and I scored my points. He had bottom on take and hold, and I went, well, this will probably be a 9 for me unless something happens here. And so I tried to make a couple things happen. It never really worked out. Multiple times Krieg's squad lived on like 3 or 2 models left, and I went, well, that's gonna be a problem now, because it enabled him to regrow and score and do other things. But Will was just a fantastic opponent. Great way to round out the event. Super chill dude. Said he doesn't get out to events that often because I think he said he was an 8th grade teacher. So shout out to him for putting up with New York kids. I'm assuming he's a teacher in New York. If every teacher's as great as he is, then America's future is in good hands.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice. It was just a great game. Will was super chill. Both of us recognized at the beginning of the game, and we're just joking the whole time. I was like, this is going to be a 10. I'm going to hide behind my walls, and I'm going to score my 40 primary. You're going to hide behind your walls and score a 40 primary, and we're both going to block off to make sure that nothing crazy happens. And nothing crazy happened.
It didn't have to get crazy. It just
No.
didn't.
Will did miss a play at the very end that would have made it an 11-9 or a 12-8 for him. And it was simply he had forgotten that he had both secure and needed to score 15. And he had drawn overwhelming as well. So there was, at the end of a couple tank shooting, there was a single berserk sitting on the middle objective with a tank 7 inches away from it. And he went, I'm going to shoot it to make sure it dies. And I didn't say anything because I was like, it's the wrong call. You charge it and tank shock it. And then even if it doesn't die, one tank doesn't die to a berserk.
Shouldn't.
Well, shouldn't. Random shit does happen sometimes, but he shot it. It died. Otherwise he would have scored like 8 more points. Would have been a 12-8. But yeah, it was a wonderful game on his part. Had a lot of fun. Nice, very chill way to finish it off, especially because we were in the sweat room.
We certainly were in the sweat room. Anthony, how about yourself? You got to play attack into first Defender Chaos Knights that had a plan.
I got immediately accepted. My boy Mikey P, the Mike Pestilence of Warhammer fame. We have played once before in a team event. That was a much closer matchup. We were playing Slaanesh World Leaders in KC teams in 9th. That was a beautiful display of, combat phase-based knowledge and understanding, and this was not. This was red guerrillas hunting men in iron suits, trying to get away and failing. So I did the same thing that I always did with the 10th edition index for Eaters, which is make a game into a 12 that cannot get worse, and then let it get fucking wild. So I took a turn where I tossed essentially my army into him. I was just like, here you go. And it mostly worked. I had a couple of Chaos Knights live on 1 in annoying ways that caused some problems, just not enough to stop it from getting over the line into a 20, because Angaron got handed through the game 6 thermal spear saves and passed 5, and they were all in melter range. Unlucky.
Mike has been in his Discord in Warhammer just being like, Melta Spears are awful. Do not run. I hate Brigands. They're the worst.
Yeah.
And I think you did that to him. I think you broke the man on Brigands.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Broke the Brigands. I don't know. They're fine, but sometimes they fucking bin it.
Highly sensitive to variance.
When they bin it, you lose, and that's not great, right? So in general, I think the plan kind of looks the same a lot of the time here, and he did his best to, hold the line. He got pretty close. He was like a point off of 19. Or a point off him getting a 1, to be clear.
Sure. I think the obliterated game plan across the whole was to have everybody try to deploy on the line and go first. Shout out to Dave who did, and shout out to Nas for fucking hero play holding the line for a 9 against the Gladius Marines army that deployed on the line and went first.
Yeah, Nas
seemed to not understand what was going on there.
Yeah,
you don't have to understand
he saw what was happening, but he was just like,
What do I do? How do I recover? And it turns out
Right.
the answer is guard, leaf blower your opponent off of the midfield instantly, but then have to take a while getting to his objectives from the sound
Yeah,
of
he
it.
got shoved into his DZ and then had to dig himself out of the locker.
Yeah.
For anybody who's playing some diff games at home, sometimes the way you get 10'd with grace is by dying in your deployment zone. Or sometimes you like lose with grace is by by like holding your deployment zone, sitting on your two objectives and being like, I have 15 wardens on this objective, you can't take it off me. And sometimes it's by going directly across the board and saying, you're not taking me off my points. There's 3 dudes back there and you don't have time. And that's sometimes you got to know.
That's a much
when
more
when
fun way
to-
of doing it.
It's way more fun. It's also a little bit more ride the lightning.
A lot of
turn
it.
turn one
That's what
against
I have to
Will.
do.
I was like, ooh, I drew Cull. I have 6 bikes here that can shoot that Krieg brick. Why not?
That's 5. That's a diff point.
Ride the lightning, baby.
4 lived and I lost the bikes.
Oh, that's sad.
But I also was looking at the table like, you can't push into me. I risk this for the 5. If I kill them and I lose the bikes, that's 5. That's 5 secondary I have.
Yeah.
And also, more importantly, you can't res that brick because you don't have the CP.
Sure. Now that as good a time as any.
Totally fair. I, on the other hand, got the pleasure of playing against Grey Knights on my table choice. I had one of the strangest turn ones I've ever seen. Like, I didn't deploy a ton on the board. I lifted one of the unit of like the extra unit that I deployed, right? Because you can redeploy with Gene Circle. I redeployed the 4th unit back into reserve because like if I go second and I get rushed at, I'm going second against Grey Knights, man. That's gonna be fine. I ain't that worried about it. And he deployed like aggressively, but not so aggressively that I was like, I'm not gonna get pinned in that bad. And then I went first and I like advanced an acolyte squad onto the side objective on layout 3, where it's like pretty exposed, right? Like you're not getting a ton of hiding spot. And then I like advanced the Genius squad up the side of the board and 10 neophytes behind them. And then I staged into the middle and I went, your turn. I don't really do anything. I like indirected his servitors to death. And then he went forward and he like picked up his Drago brick and dropped it 6 off the guys that touched the middle objective because I put 5 Genius to do cleanse. And he advances 3 Dread Knights up and he advances a Dread Knight up on the flank and he shoots the Gene Stealers to death. Or like goes to charge. I don't think he shoots anything because he wants to charge it because he doesn't want to give me lifts. So he kind of he shoots like my 10 man of neophytes to death because they're not going to lift, obviously. And then he throws a charge at my Gene Stealers on a 7 and misses it. And then he throws a charge with his interceptors onto my Gene Stealers and misses it. And then he throws a charge with his Dread Knight onto my Gene Stealers at the top and misses it. And then he throws a charge into back to the top and misses it. And there's all like 6s and 7s. But he can't reroll them because he's got,
but also not unlikely.
He's got Drago sat there waiting with a 6, and then Drago goes for the 6 in charge, hits it into the middle on the reroll, and then he doesn't have any more rerolls after that. It's just like, dude, you just failed 6 out of 7 charges, and the only one you got was the reroll on Drago, which was the only one that I let him use the tattoo blessing on. I was like, it was the last charge he rolled. And I was like, you're gonna want to rub it on that to make sure you hit this one. He did roll a 4 and a 1, and I did tell him the 1 was cocked because it was, but he did look like utterly despondent for a second before I was like, no, dude, we discussed what cocked was at the start of this game. You can reroll that, it's fine. And he did hit it, but not with enough to like tag a unit behind. So I then like walked out, picked up Drago's brick, picked up like all of his scoring units down to 2 models, picked up one of his Dread Knights, dropped another one to 2, and I was like, you have a Caldas Assassin, 6 infantry models, and 3 Dread Knights to play the game with, and that was the game over. Like it took some time to clean it up, but the game was over at that point. At one point, I like forgot to drop a 20 man in, and it didn't matter. I just like had a 20 man of red squads guys sitting in the reserve. I left the Dread Knight on 2 wounds. I was like, oh, I would have really nice to kill that guy. I'd bring it down the start. I was like, I looked at the score. I'm like 90 to 20. I'm like, that's all right. I'm not gonna fuck about.
It's all right.
we don't have to be mean about this one.
It's not crazy.
Yeah, I like charging Caldas Assassins with 20 mans. That's good fun. Overwatching just all the time. But like the problem with the game with the Grey Knights matchup is, how does he kill 20 guys, man? He doesn't have any activations that do that. The Dread Knights all had hammers. What's he gonna do? Sweep them to death?
Like,
and like he has to shoot them. He has to shoot them. So he shoots them, and I lift them, and then he gets some agency. I did fuck up a little bit. I pushed my Ridrunners a little too aggressively and gave him a couple angles. The one Dread Knight that lived got an angle on me, and like he didn't move it. He like overwatched the Saboteur that was going to go out and grenade it, stuff like that, and he picked up one of my Ridrunners that I wasn't expecting to lose, and then one that I was expecting to lose, so he pushed it to screen, and that meant that I played turn 3 onwards with one Ridrunner, which was definitely a little sketchy. But it was fine. You don't actually need AP that much against They just don't have that many wounds, dude. They only got 13 wounds, and they're only toughness 8. Grenade launchers wound them on 3s.
Okay. I mean, that's not unreasonable.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's like it's AP2 ignore cover grenade launcher, take 3 saves. Like, what you meant to do.
What are you meant to do? That's a good question.
Die, generally.
What are you meant to do? Yeah. Grenade launchers, notably not really bad into anything in Gene Cults. Are you a 20 man? I'll take blast. Are you not? I'm AP3 ignore cover. Like, it's a really nice dynamic,
Yeah.
So
So
no, a really good time. Obviously, we put the brakes on Obliterati a little bit. It was not our biggest round.
20s in that round.
Pretty bad. Jeremy got a 10 into the Astra. Trenton got a 2 into Kit on the Votan. Kit absolutely. Trenton looked at us at the pairing and was like, "I'm not gonna have fun this round. I need you guys to know that that's my worst matchup." And you gave him table choice. And we all looked at him and were like, "We got you. It's
we'll
fine.
avenge you.
We will not take this lying down. You will be avenged." Anthony got a 20 into the Chaos Knights. Nassim got a 9 into the Space Marines. I got a 20 into the Grey Knights. Josh got a 20 into Necrons. Brian got a 20 into Drukhari. And Olivier got a 20 into Orcs. Which is certainly one of the rounds of all time. And that meant that we were the only undefeated team at Battle for Salvation. Which means that officially StatCheck is 10-0 in team events as StatCheck.
This iteration of StatCheck is, yes. There
We've
are
only
others,
ever
there are others
played
who have played under her name with permission. So
we've only ever played 2 events as StatCheck.
StatCheck 8s are undefeated.
Yeah.
now, didn't
StudCheck and various other associated teams.
No, because didn't
have lost rounds.
At BFS last year, wasn't there a group that was playing under StatCheck?
Yeah, but it was none of us.
Yeah, but it was Nate's.
It wasn't us.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
If there wasn't at least one host playing, it just doesn't count. Anyone
there
can
you
call
go.
themselves StatCheck. It's a real team. You could just call it's a term from other games. Anyone can call themselves
True.
StatCheck.
Yeah.
They did ask permission, and we did say yes. You were happy. You're welcome to, because you guys are all really chill.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that is the two most competitive 40K teams events in the States recently, won by StatCheck.
We're gonna keep doing it as much as we can.
Occasionally, so long as people are still able to come to the collapsing Republic of the United States.
We're gonna keep winning team events. That's the goal, right? That's our prime operating philosophy.
That's right.
Yeah, and best 2 out of 3 run it back.
I mean,
And to be fair to the StatCheck guys last year, because I did go and find it, they did only lose 2 rounds. Now they didn't.
one of them was Art of War.
They didn't lose it. They didn't win any rounds, but they did get 3 draws, and then a very tight 73, and then a little different into Art of War, for sure. Just a little. But shout out to the guys. They did a
I
good
think the
job.
Art of War guys are kind of good at this Warhammer game.
Look, citation needed, right? As far as I'm concerned, you can't use that. Yeah. All right. Shout out to Dan, who played against Robbo round 1. Wow, that's a rough one.
It's a way to start your day.
All right. Do we want to wrap up for Battle for Salvation? What are we looking at next for StatCheck? So we're looking at probably something in the September period. We're currently in for Challengers Cup, but we're considering rescheduling that and doing an event somewhere else instead.
It seems broadly irresponsible to invite external players to the United States right now.
So we're looking at maybe potentially doing an event in the Netherlands instead, and then freeing up everybody to do LGT, because LGT is pretty fun.
LGT.
So yeah, we will remains to be seen. There's probably going to be some form of, most of the people that were at this event will be at an ITT at some point in the near future, based on how much Josh enjoyed making fun of Nassim. So
Team Morocco, baby.
Some form of something will happen. Shout out to Nassim. He's my favorite Algerian. I've got your hat now, so I promise I did bring it back with you. And then I will give a special
not
thanks.
at DreamHack, Valentin.
Yeah, we're not
Valentin.
Shout out to Chris Finn, JC, who was the other person that drove us, I want to say. Shout out to Dan for being a hero, the rest of the Art of War guys, and also to War Games Live for covering it, and to Art of War for being a fantastic critic and for coming out for dinner with us without being salty about losing the round. You guys were great fun. And also, I'll give a special shout out to Quentin, who has left Art of War as of now to go and pursue his Masters?
Yep. So
in creative writing.
At
chat
this point, I
Quinn,
think
best
it's
of luck with that.
official because he announced it on
You announced it
on
in Art
Joe's
of
stream.
War, so I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
he
not,
did, yeah. So Quentin is going to go and pursue his literary dreams and is going to go do his master's at, I believe, the University of Central Florida.
Hell yeah,
Woo.
Quentin.
And he
Congrats.
is
Actually got out, dude. Well done.
he's written a book. It's coming out in December.
Hell yeah.
So.
All right, guys, we are going to move on to the plugs and then the show questions because it is getting late and I do at some point need to go to bed. I have a coaching call in
Unfortunately,
9
I
hours.
actually have to jet.
See you later, Jeremy.
Later.
All right, guys. If you are an hour and 45 into the show and you enjoyed hearing us about us going to Challenger, going to events like Battle for Salvation, and you want to hear more from us doing things like this and support us doing it, check out patreon.com/statcheck and the YouTube membership program in the description below. $5 a month gets you access to our Discord, gets you the ability to chat with us, see us when we're going to these events, talk to us when we're there, and all the various things that go along with that. It'll also get you access to all of our Patreon posts content, which will be returning as of this week. That is all getting in the process of getting organized. So there will be a bunch more reasons to check out the Patreon. So please do that if that is a thing that you're in a position to support us for. If you are not, there is a bunch of other ways you can support us. One is by using all of our sponsors. They are all linked down below, but that's Red Dragon, Wheel and Yutani, J15 Games, and Saltar Games. They all provide wonderful services for the community and for the hobby. If you're looking for widgets, terrain, models, cards for Magic the Gathering, which is another one of my pursuits right now, please do check all of those out. They are all linked below and they are all really helpful for making sure that we can continue to bring this show. And then obviously all the standard social interaction stuff, likes, comments, etc. Commenting is really the thing that we love. We love seeing what you guys have to say. If you guys have any feedback, me and Anthony both have new mics and they hopefully don't suck, and we've not had anybody complaining about the mics recently, which means that it's probably working. So complain at us loudly and often. You can also check out the new Mind Goblins content on the YouTube channel. That just went live with our first interview with Jack Davis Fletcher from Mind Goblins, because they just won ITT the same weekend that we were there. We're now going to be sponsoring / collaborating with Mind Goblins. So once a month there will be a piece of content coming out with one of the guys from that team. They're a really, really good team doing events in the UK. You'll have seen me wearing the shirt from our game against Lennon because it's just funny. I like saying the name, so that's why we sponsored them. That's really all it is. But also, Dom and Jack and Dan and all those other guys are just great people and really good to see them representing the hobby. There will be more coming on the YouTube in general as well. We've worked out some general arrangements for speeding up the production of some stuff, and there will be stuff going on the show as of hopefully this week. There'll just be content going up, and we'll be looking at doing a weekly video additionally to the main show, one for everyone and one for Patreon members and YouTube membership. So do again check that out at youtube.com/statcheck. And then lastly, there are all the other shows on second to lastly, there are all the other shows on the network, but most right now that is going to be the Take Out Comers guys. The other shows are all variably on hiatus. End of the Matrix just did some content with Down Under, we're Down Under with Adam Camilleri. Nathan and Pumbaa went on and talked about all the team armies, all the armies in the game in a teams content right now. So if you want to hear more from them, go check that out. And they are working on getting some more teams content in play. We're even looking at doing a team event with Typhus and Pumbaa in the near future. So do keep an eye on them. I'm sure they'll be at WGC because they're all psychopaths anyway. So we'll have lots to hear from them as we go forward. Actually, lastly, if you'd like to hear from any of our StatCheck coaches, that's all the Take Out Comers guys. That's Lucas, Naj, and Tyler, myself, Nassim, Liam, or Pumbaa. You can check out stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. For the time being, you can drop us any of us a message. You can ask us if you want to get some support. We're happy to work with anything. We've got a new mission pack dropping sometime in the near future. It's about 2 months from the last balance date slate, so you can roughly guess we're between a month and 2 months away from it. So if you're looking at getting up to speed with the new metagame, prepping for an event, anything in between, drop us a message. We'd love to help you out. I gave a shout out to Liam last time. I'm going to give a shout out to Nas this week. Nas did fantastic. He's been playing guard for ages. If you want to get better in an army like that, he's also playing new Death Guard, Emperor's Children. If you're interested in working with him on any of those, do check out Nassim online. He is a fantastic player and he's going to help you, with your aggression in a way that very few other players can. So do check that out. And I'm going to be doing a special shout out for one of the coaches every week from now on, just to make sure that everybody gets a fair share. I think that's all I got on there. We're going to move on to the questions, which Anthony's definitely not going to handle for me. So I'm going to go and do that too. Anthony, prevaricate for a second. Anthony, there are 29 questions.
That's quite a fucking few, my friend.
I'm not getting to bed anytime soon. All right, we're speedrunning these. All right, when do we get stats and ELO again from Seth? We will get them when we get them. We are really sorry. We are work in progress. Jeremy is manually processing the stats as we go. We are catching up on the backlog, but Jeremy has a new job, as we mentioned on the show a couple months ago, and it's been very poorly timed for making everything go wrong. Cliff also does not have a simple life. Cliff is a very, very busy man. Nick asks, what do we hope for in the new mission pack in Slate? I hope for deeply improved levels of balance and purge the foe to die horribly in a fire, but I know that that's not going to happen. So, I hope the new update gives me a Tyranid and a Gene Circle and a Space Marine data sheet for the new 3-1, so that I have a bunch of new stuff to experiment with.
Data sheet?
Not
You want a new data sheet?
Detachments.
Oh,
Right, because we're going to get the new drop pod data sheet, I assume, with the balance update, right? That seems reasonable.
stop it! No more.
Like I said, man, I wanted to give you oath a moment against the target. When if it fires at a target, you get oath against that target.
Stop. Cut it out. Enough.
What do you want, Anthony?
Oh, what do I want? I don't know.
Exalted 8-bound points drops.
Yeah, I would like 8-bound to cost less points. Holy dude, 50 points per model on those things is fucking nuts.
They're the same points as Death Knights, and they do not deserve to be.
That is actually true. That's very sad.
Movement 10 is a lot, right? Don't get me wrong, but
I was playing a game the other day, and a Wing Prince like whipped around a corner and shot a Hellbrute and did 4 to it, and then charged it, killed it, piled into some 8-bound, and killed them. And I was like, that's
170 points.
That's 270. That's more than the so mad.
Now
so
the prince doing the 4 damage is the craziest part there, right? Like, there's no way that should have happened in shooting.
But even if he only did 2, like, I don't know, frustrating.
You'd have been happy with it, yeah.
Yeah, angry.
The winged prince should get the Lord of Contagion thing where it's one prince per turn can use the ability.
That would be great. That would be a huge help, I think. There's a lot of ways you could change the Wing Prince, dude. I think the -1 damage that it has should go on the fucking Foot Prince, and the Wing Prince should get the 2-up fight on death. But, whatever.
That would make a lot of sense. Why is the flying one? Yeah, why is the flying one more durable?
That's what I'm saying!
All right. Frank says, thoughts on triple cacophonist and coterie? It's probably too many cacophonists, but they're cheap and cheerful. But until you could take princes and you could take exaltants. Take the princes and exaltants first. If you've still got points for cacophonists, you probably don't have enough chaff.
You've fucked around somewhere.
Yeah. Like there are 102 noise marines for five noise marine players and 2 CSM players at Eurotrash, and there are 15 exaltants for 5 CSM players. Or for 5 AEC players. Just play the good data sheets, dude. Don't fuck about.
No.
What are some units detachments that you think are being slept on an EC?
I don't think anything are being slept on. I think the other detachments are genuinely bad.
I was I was reading through a bunch of the detachments, and I'm like, they have really cool abilities, but they don't have armor contempt, and the pledge ability is better, and yeah, it's weird. It's hard to innovate in a book with that little choice, and where every detachment feels kind of like it's just another variation of go fast melee, but one of them has defensive strats and the other ones don't.
Yeah. One of them has defensive strats, and their detachment rule is better than most armies' army rule.
And their army rule is better than most armies' army rules, so it's a good combination.
It's a good place to be. The only thing that keeps Emperor's Children vaguely reasonable is that their army is made out of tactical marines. Unless you don't build it out of tactical marines, you take a whole bunch of dudes with -1 damage and 2-up 4-ups. Oh, crazy.
And yeah, it's like Lucius. Yeah, once you're like, so there's 2 rhinos, 18 noise marines that are T5. Like, they're not the most durable, but they're not durable. And then 3 princes and Lucius, you're like, there are like 20 tactical marines in this list. But it's technically what it's made of. So, like, I get it. But yeah. Why are noise marines T5? I don't like that.
Because they're Havocs.
I don't care.
They should come in 3-mans is really what should happen, but whatever.
Only 3-mans? Yeah, maybe.
3-mans, 1 Blastmaster.
Yeah, dude. That might actually balance them.
Yeah.
Okay. For Necrons and singles and teams, do you like starting with Seagular, Starshatter, Waters Awakened, or Warrior Awakened? Probably just play Starshatter. It's simpler. You don't have to 5-head your way through infinitely awkward rounds.
I think that the Starshatter list is a little easier. I think that the Awoken list, particularly for singles, is a little better.
That's probably also fair, but I think it's a lot more complicated to play if you're just getting started with it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
What's the smoothest brain death card list you can come up with without fetid bloat drones? Because getting those things is impossible. You should find a friend with a 3D printer.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the answer to a lot of these questions.
But broadly, like, I have literally not seen a death card list that doesn't have 3 of them. Like, I couldn't even begin to tell you, but it's probably like a bunch of Plague Marines and Rhinos and 18 Death Shroud and like 12 Death Shroud. If you're just like can't play guns, just go like full melee.
Well, just take Predators. The Predators are really, really good.
Yeah, or take Predators, or like take PBCs, right? They're not bad. They're just not as good as blow drones.
Yeah.
Who's the favorite team for ETC now that lists are published? I mean, it's just Germany, right?
Yeah. Germany is the strongest team present for ETC, I would say.
Yeah, I am very much hopeful that there will be a bunch of teams that are competitive with Germany, up to and including everyone. I would like it to be a great event, but Germany are the highest seeded team. They're coming in with a very strong roster, and we should expect them to be the favorites.
Yep.
Okay. Why do you think the new night models will be the? Why do you think that the new night models will be the first new vehicle kits we get this edition, where almost every new kit releases a character? Well, the night models are technically characters.
I was going to say they're
So-
also characters.
Are they the first vehicles that we've had this edition? That doesn't sound right.
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I'm gonna go and look it up.
Oh, that's not true. Thousand Suns.
Oh yeah, Thousands are getting the Secatars. Yeah, but they're not out
Boom.
yet, right? They're Thousands
Fucking-
or Thousand Suns are coming out after, technically, right? So or before?
That's
I don't really know.
it's before, I'm pretty sure. And the
Ballistus.
Ballistus.
Yeah, the Ballistus, Martine. The Ballistus Dreadnought. Was that really the only new vehicle we've had this edition? That can't be right.
I mean, looking right now does not get you to bed any faster. To the future.
Hey, I know. Someone will tell us.
Yeah.
Someone else will tell me. I need to go find Discord.
Chat, go.
right.
Go forth. Find us the
Um,
answer.
What's the list with the new World Leaders Codex for teams and singles? I don't know. Go and have a look at the Eurotrash list and pick the one that seems interesting for you.
Yeah, the is strong. That doesn't exist yet.
We don't know yet. The book has been out for 6 days.
I've been averaging 2 games a day for the last 2 weeks. So
I like the good stuff Berserker Warband list with just like 2 of everything and then 3 of whatever thing you like best and whatever fixes your matrix personally. It seems pretty solid. Like Karn and a Rhino, some Forge Fiends, some Hellbrutes, some 8-bound, some Spawn, some Jackals.
Yeah.
It seems pretty solid. What's the current state of other stat check shows? Will there be more Champions of 4K episodes? Steve Joel operates on a very long leash of he gives us content, we host it. We don't really have a ton of interaction with Steve. If Steve
He
is
does
busy,
his
there will
thing.
not be episodes. When Steve has time again, there will be episodes. That is all we can tell you for that one. As for the other ones, Typhus and Pumbaa are taking a well-deserved break after grinding WTC for half a decade and a decade. And we'll be back when they are emotionally bandwidth for it. Tico Cummers is still sticking around. And XM1 is on indefinite hiatus. What is your type of shoe you drink out of tier list? High heels number 1, Crocs number 2. Can't think of a third option, but those are the only 2 I'd be willing to do.
I drank out of my shoe.
Yeah,
for
I know you did,
Shui.
dude. I'm so sorry that you had to do that.
It was fine. It was funny.
I didn't bring spare shoes. I only had 1 pair with me. Bile or Raider in teams?
Bile or Raider in teams. I don't think Bile's very good teams right now, man. There's a lot of like damaged 3 out and about.
I'm just imagining like a Hellbrute ping-ponging through a possessed army.
Yeah, I mean you can probably if you console into a 10-man, you're probably dead. But you can do like the get hit back, hit into a 10 and kill them.
Yeah,
But-
and then you connect to like a Legionnaire squad while you're not on an objective, and like there's a decent chance you keep going.
You can, yeah, you might Beyblade it through. It might be fine, but it might not, and that's where it goes wrong.
I think Raiders is probably, yeah, unless you're Liam, in which case it's Vets, but I think Raiders is probably more
So,
stable.
I
Just
feel
run
like-
real guns.
I feel like I always think Raiders is really good until I play as it or against it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you're kind of just like a Walmart Space Marines. Like you're just you're Hot Topic Space Marines. Like you don't have oath, and you are trying to play broadly a pretty fair game. Besides that one strat that's really fucked up. It's usually kind of just fine.
Totally fair. All right. Next up, since I'm running an 8-man TTS event, should I run an 8-man of myself? If so, what do you think my record would be? I'm sure you'll maintain a perfect 50-50 across the entire event, Isaac. Would you or have you played an Iron Man GT? I have once. It was great fun. I would love to do it again. I like playing 5 games of Warhammer in a day.
I
I'm a
never
psychopath.
have. I probably never will. I bitch when I go to singles and it's 3 rounds in a day instead of 2 like teams. So
That's fair. Hey, Statcheck Arenos, what style can you adopt to be successful with the new World Eaters? Can you go hard into Corn Berserk and see results? Or Exotic Band just too expensive now? Be aggressive. Yes, it seems like there is decent builds in the region of like 80 to 120 Corn Berserkers. And yes, Exotic Band are just too expensive now.
Yeah.
Is World Eaters bad? Is World Eaters good? Is World Eaters is bad World Eaters?
World Eaters seem like they're going to be very
Completely fine.
middle of the pack. Just they're an army that's playable. They don't spark much excitement or joy. They're just
I get like very excited by the word 6-inch Bionic Consolidate whenever it shows up. So like that
cool.
one rule alone makes me just like World Eaters, World Eaters, World Eaters. It just seems like a great time.
That part is fun. So I have
everything
this
else
opposite
around
thing.
it.
Yeah, I have this funny dichotomy going on right now where like before I play a World Eaters game, when I've like written a World Eaters list, I'm like, dude, fucking sick. Got my Eaters list, I'm gonna do my Eater shit. Boom. Get in there, be the person that I have garnered a reputation for being, right? I'm the World Eaters guy. And I start playing with them and I'm like, God, all right, I'll activate this Forge Fiend and maybe it'll work. And like when it works, I'm like, fine. And when it doesn't, I want to throw it through a wall. And then I like, I charge my Demon Prince into like 5 Blade Guard vets. I'm like, here we fucking go. Time to put some fucking respect on this Demon Prince's name. And he gets like 6 hits, 5 saves, no devs, Blade Guard past them all. And I'm like, ah! I hate everything. And then I think about playing EC in my head, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of fragile. It's not like that fun. Like you kind of just zip around and you press the counter and whatever. And then the minute I get into an EC game, I'm like, woo! The whole time. And I don't know what causes that dynamic, but I know that it makes me sad.
It's just Anthony's just addicted to advance in charge. That's really all it is.
Maybe it's not even usually the advance in charge that gets me with EC, right? Because like,
maybe
advance in charge.
You should try some winged corn princes, dude. That's maybe what you're missing in your life is the movement 14.
What usually gets me personally when I'm playing EC is that like I'll have a turn where like someone has like a bit of a bounce or like I'll go in and it won't quite work and then I'll get like stuck and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I could just fuck off and go kill those guys. This is so cool. I'm not just stuck here. I don't know.
That's entirely fair. It's like how I feel when I play armies that don't bring models back now. I'm like, what do you mean? It's just dead.
yeah, it's gone.
I don't get to try again.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like
yeah.
even just like having Yvrain resing Incubi like gets me like just keeps me like it's like the nicotine patch on playing GSC.
Yeah. When the EC Wing Prince goes up, any chance to replace it with a Mauler Fiend? No, I'm gonna cut other things out of my list until I can until I literally can't take 3 of that Wing Prince until it has a data sheet change or it goes to like 300 points per. I'm playing 3.
I don't think that's unreasonable. Would you recommend starting up a stats-based podcast to anyone else who's looking for their first team events win? It certainly didn't hurt our chances, but I do think it was mostly the networking that we did through going to WTC that really did help. So what I would strongly recommend is if you want to win team events, get good enough at team events to go to WTC. Then maybe you'll find enough friends that you can convince 7 of them to fly across the world with you. If you've got like 100 friends, convincing 7 is not that hard.
It's not too bad. Could be worse.
So yeah, we outsourced having friends to the rest of and then like having a podcast lets you outsource having friends to the rest of your podcast friends. So it's like, this networking or something like that. It's like a network of friends through the podcast, and that's like really the powerful bit. So really what we're saying is that like networking is broken, and that you should do it as much as you can at basically every opportunity. And that really sucks because everything your parents said was true. You do have to talk to people at parties.
That's true.
It's awful. They were right the whole time. Okay. General 3 Winged Demon Prince EC things to watch out for our tips before the slate comes in and increases them. If you could do damage to them before you charge you, it's pretty nice. They don't do as many mortals that way.
Yep.
And if you can stop them getting the tally up, they will not kill anything bigger than an intercessor with any reliability.
Look, EC doesn't have to do a ton of damage. We can ignore that the Infractor squads basically start on 5 buff. But the rest of it doesn't have to do damage. Great. But if you slow feed into EC, you're gonna get just chased down and drilled on 4 and 5.
Yeah. EC want to play the game on cocaine from turn 1, and if you also play the game on cocaine from turn 1, you can like make EC have it real hard, and they don't always have it. Like Noise Marines are, Noise Marines are good, but they're not a consistent data sheet. Though those Sonic Blasters are like real prone to like 3s and 4s syndrome. And like you can power through it. And if you charge them, you can limit their options some to some degree. Like there are things you can do stuff. It doesn't have to get. It has to get crazy. Like that's the problem, right? Against DC, like Anthony's big line of doesn't have to get crazy. Against DC, yeah, it kind of does. It's gonna get crazy, and you need to lean into the crazy just as much as they are. And you can come out the other side winning, but you're probably not going to slow and stable your way through an EC game.
No. If you go into turn 2 with, or 3, actually 3 is where I've noticed it goes off the rails. If the EC player is rotating a dice to say the number 5 on turn 3, terrible shit is about to happen to you. Awful, no good, rotten, bad things are about to happen to you. Yeah.
For sure. Right. Is Bile cooked in singles? Yes, probably. We spoke about that earlier. If so, where did the Bile refugees escape to? World Eaters looks pretty fun. EC's pretty fun. Renegade Ridges is pretty fun. You got options. Go and have a look. Or wait a month to 8 weeks for the site and see what changes. There might be new options or anything, right? CSM could get their book detachment from the new books, right? That's a thing that could happen. Maybe Noise Marines in Dread Talons is secretly broken the entire time and we never noticed because you can stack -3 AP from Noise Marine debuffs now.
Yeah.
When are new primary and secondary missions coming? We don't know, but sometime in the next 2 months. We should expect them by the end of July at the latest. Thoughts on season leaks before? We do not talk about leaks on the show. For Custodes, how do you know when to go and why is it always turn 2? It's usually turn 2 because that's usually when the game is, like being played. If your opponent's not made you do something though, and you're going second, you can hold the go turn until your opponent makes you do something. It's okay to wait. You don't have to get crazy with Custodes. But if you're going first, the go turn should probably be the first second you can do it to give you the most time to scam your opponent.
Yep.
With Harlequins gaining some popularity, what would be the best ways of countering them? Read their rules, probably a good start.
Be very cognizant of what they can do, because that detachment is just like a fucking stun grenade of nonsense. Watch out for the Solitaire. That motherfucker is quick and fights first.
And watch out for like random shit like them ignoring height when they consolidate and shit like that. That's weird. I don't love that stuff.
Yeah.
They can do some crazy shit with that. They're gonna get back in their boats a bunch as well.
And their boats are not instantly dead like Venom's, so
they're pretty close to it, but not instantly. Like if you
No.
put like you gotta put some work in.
You're saying that through a GSC lens. They're really not when your range damage is like las cannons and shit. It's really easy to just be like, fucking guess not.
Yeah, for sure. I bet your Forge Fiend loves it though.
Probably not, honestly. Like, aren't they stealth?
Maybe. I don't know.
See?
How am I meant to know? I have crit 5s. I reckon I can split fire and kill 4.
We can't do that.
Skill.
Dude, I forget that you could split fire a Forge Fiend. Like, I forget that that's an option, because so often it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, have you never done the old 3-gun wonder? Like, I really need as much of this shit dead as possible, and I'm not overkilling damage anywhere. With Nurgle ones in Abaddon Aura, it was very, very frequent. You'd just be like, 1 gun there, 1 gun there, 1 gun there, lift 3 5-mans. I do miss it. When is Anthony going to come back to Drakari? When Drakari are worth playing?
Yeah.
When's the next Innis Reports? Don't know. Innis Reports is one of those ones where it's like, it's in the roster of things that I'm going to be doing videos on in the near future, but I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. I keep waiting for I'm really waiting for like an interesting army that isn't host to do Innis Reports on, but I'm also very cognizant of not doing them like right before dead meta games because it's not super relevant once you go into a new meta game. Why the heck does those English players take Raptors and Shadow Legion? Because Nicholas Fritchen did it, dude. Like Nicholas did it, so everybody just went, "That's how you play love. That's how you play Shadow Legion, bro." But in genuine seriousness, the Battle Shock ability is actually really good in specifically Shadow Legion.
It's also an aura of -1 leadership.
Yeah, it's an aura of -1 leadership that is pretty good, and then it's Battle Shocks on everything in engagement range at the start of the fight phase. So they're like reasonably hard to flip objectives off of comfortably. They are very good on the offense at shutting down, interrupts and fight on death and things like that, because it's for each Raptor squad in combat. So if you charge a unit with like 3 Raptor squads, they're taking 3 battleshot tests at -2, taking mortal wounds for each one they fail, and then potentially shutting down all of the stratagems, which is pretty fun. And they interact very well with Be'lakor auras and things like that. I think they're really cool. They also like alleviate some of the scoring game off of your like. You don't need to play flash hounds. You don't need to play. You can use your screamers a bit more like as a melee unit, which helps a ton with Shadow Legion as well.
Yeah.
Anthony, World Eaters, where do you put Berserker Glaive, Arch Slaughter, and Blade of Endless Bloodshed? It's just a footprints, right?
It's usually a footprints. It is occasionally a Master of Executions. It is, that's pretty much it. I think the single biggest letdown of the new book to me has got to be the Slaughterbound.
Man's damage 2.
Just
he looks like he's damage 3.
Not even. Yeah, I don't know what they would have to do for him.
He's got. Actually, I think I know what happened. He got the little axe. He got the little Bloodthirster's axe, the D3+1 one.
Sure. Yeah. And they just called it average. They were not even. No, that would be 3.
No, they just called it minimum. They were like,
yeah.
He's not that good at using it. He gets a 1.
Yeah, everything about that data sheet is fucking sad. Not everything. There's like, it could be good. It just doesn't work out that way with how everything else goes. Like he would have been sick in the index, right? Like him attached to 6 Exalted that have a 5-up Feel No Pain. Fucking gangster. You'd love that shit.
Dude, you'd make Victor cry. Just like straight up.
I'd be immortal.
Yep.
But it just doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
What is the flawless blades attachment? I don't think that's the thing.
I think they're asking about peerless blades.
Oh, okay. It sounds like one I've not really.
It's you pick sustained
it's
or
the
lethal when you charge.
I didn't hate that one. Like when I was reading
bad.
it, I read through it. I was like, "There's some cool stuff here." It doesn't seem better than just Coterie though.
Yeah.
Like if Coterie didn't exist, I'm sure this would be the best attachment.
It would still be Carnival.
It wasn't Carnival,
yeah.
but.
Do you want to? Oh God, it makes me so mad the way they did these books.
Why don't you just have sustained all the time instead of only when you charge? You have it on your guns too, and you could have just as good stratagems and enhancements, and also access to demonettes.
Dumb.
Getting activated up by Cacophonous Noise Marines in Carnival makes me mad beyond measure.
It's so good.
It's just like, just dead. Oh. So 11 saves on 2?
It's 6 shots. How did that happen?
I watched Bruce roll like a 5-pack of 5s and 6s in a hit, and I was just like, this is not good. This is not good. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I had Canis Rex. I had Canis Rex hit a 17-pack into my Blade Guard on Saturday when I was playtesting into him. He was just like 10 attacks on 3s because he was on 2 wounds. Sit at that 17 with no reroll. Just like savage. I wasn't expecting them to live, but 17?
Yeah,
17 so many?
Yeah, that's a lot. I love that shit. Yeah, see, like shit like that happens in EC, and I'm just like, yeah! And that, I don't know. And
World Eaters, you're like,
yeah.
It's sustained hits on
fine.
6s. Yeah, armies that don't have crit 5s don't make Anthony happy anymore.
It's just, I think I don't even know what it is. I don't have a good answer, because like they have the same amount of sustained and lethal more often, honestly, than EC does. I think it's because EC has that and rerolls and can be wherever it wants all the time. I don't know what it is. I'll figure it out eventually. It's just not, today's not the day. Today is just
you don't get to figure it out because Lennon wants EC.
I mean, he's probably playing Space Marines, right? One can
probably depends how much you know Josh.
One could want to believe that he's.
Can we very quickly talk about the Reddit thread that went?
Oh no, we can't. Fuck the guy that wrote that piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
Cool. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Stop bullying Josh on the internet, guys. He's just a Warhammer player when he's on his time off.
Yeah. Stupid.
Isaac, as the last question, asks, "Why should I take Renegade Raiders with Noise Marines or T-Sons?" Very clearly, you should not take T-Sons. Did you hear the stats earlier? Don't do that. I think
T-Sons is still pretty good, but yeah, you should play Renegade Raiders. You'll probably have a better time. Renegade Raiders lets you play a lot of Warhammer per Warhammer. If you want to play like the tactical game that Nottingham thinks 40k is, you play Renegade Raiders.
That's fair. And then we have one question that Jeremy started earlier. Any tips for WTC gamers going to GW events? Right. So you know how first attacking into like gunline armies is shit? That's your singles experience at GW events. Unless you're playing on like layout 2 and 7 and 8. So just like assume that you're going to need to play a list that could first attack guard on an open day on like their table choice, and you'll be fine. And then like it's easier to move vehicles a little bit, and charging through walls is a bit miserable.
Yep.
That's really kind of it. Like the boards are not that bad. They're lighter, but they're not like if you played on a WC light board, it's not that crazy to go to it.
Yeah.
Right. I think we are going to end it there. I do have to go and do the goddamn awful thing that Jeremy makes me do by abandoning me. Anthony, what's up? What's coming up next for you? What you got going on?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, from now, it's just WTC. It's a practice weekend in July in WTC, right? I'm not, I'm a guy who TOs events now,
Very nice.
and that's
Well, for me, I am off to the Netherlands this weekend. I fly on Friday. I'm staying with. We've got the Eurotrash Team Championship, which you can follow on BCP. It's ETC 2 May, I believe, on BCP.
Yes.
Playing with Team Scotland. I'm then going to go and stay with more time for a week, and then go to a super major in Germany, which is going to be great fun. So if you're going to be at the Braunschweig Super Major, I think it's just called the German Super Major on BCP because they're nothing if not efficient. You can go and check that out. And we will do my best. I'll hopefully get to play some games there. I've not actually picked what I'm playing for that yet. List submission for that is the morning of, so we're gonna find out what's going on there. I'm actually gonna like make a decision based on what I'm there, and then like organize getting it brought over for me if I need to borrow something or something like that. I'm sure the Germans will help me out as well if I need to, because they did invite us over. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, if you're at that event, I will try to have some stat check dice and stuff like that. So if you're there and you're in the German stat check community, do come by and say hi. Otherwise, I'm going to do the shout outs now. So if you would like to get your name called out at the end of the episode, it is $15 a month on our Patreon tier. I believe the YouTube membership can do the same thing, and you'll get your name called out at the end of the show. And with great thanks to everybody who's doing this. It is grim reading all of your awful names for this, but I will do it. So thank you for Christopher. Whiskey in a Sandal is a crime somewhere. Irvine, it's a crime where I am. Willow Weeks, thank you. Dan F, thank you. Luke, Dan F McCarthy, thank you. David, to the darkness I bring fire, to the ignorant I bring faith. Those who welcome these gifts may live, but I will visit naught but death and eternal damnation upon those who refuse them. Clark, thank you. Thank you, EIEIIer. Thank you very much. Thank you to James H. Thank you to Colton Dan F. Miller. Thank you to Fungus. Thank you to John V8 Gang. Still not talking to people at parties. I really do recommend it. It's incredible how much it helps. Thank you to Cam, F. Dan, Morton, Hog Emoji. Thank you to Archon Hall. Hoping that everyone at this week's ETC event has a great time and wishing everyone the best of luck. Screw you. How dare you? Thank you to Josiah Gattel. Thank you to Frankie, Sus Me Baby One More Time Fresh. Thank you to Isaac. Hayanus is your new favorite GW layout, table layout 3 and Y, Tarada. I think you should F off, Isaac. Thank you to Pickles who play Body Needles and Pair for herself, which I think is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Thank you to Thomas. I broke my RC Land Raider because I didn't install brakes for Koyan. I'll see you this weekend, Thomas, I hope. Thank you to Stephen. That's a lot of stinky auras you got there. It'd be the same if someone ignored all modifiers of their characteristics. Ross. Thank you to Tom. The questionable accent used to portray white scars in early audiobooks. H. Thank you to perhaps the trade-off of getting 2 $170 upgrade sprues will be super heavy walkers having true line of sight at all times. I hope it's not. And thank you to trusting the tile will be fixed next time. Thank you very much to everybody who bears with us for the end of that show. Hope everybody enjoyed our bumper 2 hour and 20-minute episode to compensate for us not having an episode last week, as well as the Mind Goblins content, and also hopefully something I'll be able to put out tomorrow or Thursday before I disappear. I hope everybody's having a great time. Best of luck if you're touring this weekend. Nathan's not here to say the thing, so Anthony, do you want to say any closing words?
Not at all.